Well, everybody, do we just have such an exciting... Do you like my little muted tone, EliteAri?
I don't know if I'd describe that as muted, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, I didn't scream this time because I couldn't think of anything funny. But here we are, EliteAri, to discuss two movies again. Do we still call this movie night? Who knows? Was the last movie night our Nosferatu discussion? That was in person, EliteAri. Why aren't we in person right now?
Because these movies were impromptu. We decided we're going to do them now, and then we did them. And here we are.
Oh, my heart flooded. I thought EliteAri was going to say something he thought about the movies, which we're not doing yet. Anyway, today we are here to discuss Love and Pop and Ritual, EliteAri, or as it used to be called, I think, even in English, Shiki Jutsu. Now that means like ritual day or something, EliteAri. Now Jutsu also sounds like a Naruto thing, but I think they're a little unrelated. These are both live-action movies, EliteAri, created, directed, and I think written in both cases by Hideaki Anno after he finished End of Evangelion in 1997.
Oh,
Because, of
wow.
course, Love and Pop here, our first movie up for discussion was 1998. And Ritual, which I'll call it instead of Shikijutsu, because that's how I know it, EliteAri, that's how it's written on Letterboxd. What am I supposed to do? Is 2000. And were his first live action features, though he had worked on live action previously, including for some segments of End of Evangelion. Now, EliteAri has seen End of Evangelion and Evangelion. He doesn't remember much of it. So he probably doesn't remember that there are short live action segments in that
Yeah,
movie,
no, I
which is
don't remember that.
there's just a few brief shots. Now, apparently, because I was watching some videos about both Love and Pop and Ritual after I finished these, because I finished these movies like a week ago, and EliteAri's been slacking, trying to make a video or something pathetic like that. Um, that apparently there was like much longer sequences shot for End of Evangelion that were cut of like an actual Misato live action actress in like her room. There was some footage of it in this video, which I didn't know, and I'm supposed to know everything about Evangelion, so that's kind of crazy. He also did shoot some more amateur stuff when he was much younger. He also used to do amateur animation. That's a whole Anno thing. We don't really need to talk about that too much though. He would also return to live action later in his career during the rebuild phase, where he would stop to go and make Shin Godzilla in 2016,
Oh,
EliteAri.
wow.
People very much like that movie. And he didn't direct, but he did executive produce Shin Kamen Rider that came out in 2022, I believe, which I nearly said just recently, EliteAri, but that was 3 years ago, so we can all kill ourselves. Now, we're kind of misrepresenting some things here. He also, which I don't think I even knew when I wrote this, if you like last week, but he also right after this did a third live action movie where he did a live action adaptation of Cutie Honey, EliteAri. Now, who is the mangaka for Cutie Honey? Cutie Honey, EliteAri? Have a guess.
Kentaro Miura.
The great Go Nagai, of course, of the
Okay.
great Devilman fame. He also invented Ecchi with Cutie Honey, and the great Hideaki Anno did a live action adaptation. That movie legitimately looks excellent, and I would like to watch it, so we'll see. Maybe I'll convince EliteAri to watch that, though probably not. And also, I would probably try to read some semblance of the original 1970 whatever manga. We love old manga, EliteAri. We love Devilman. We did a discussion on Devilman. I think it was even on this channel, EliteAri. Was it on your channel? Tell me now.
I actually don't remember. I think it's on your channel, though.
The pe the people should all go and watch it no matter what. Search both of them up. This is also, well, how I've said things, EliteAri, so far has been a little misrepresentative, because between these two movies, he did go back to Gainax proper and make an anime where he made Karakano, which is this, it's like a romance anime. Which I would like to do relatively soon too. I was maybe thinking of pitching that for me and Mia to do a solo thingy, EliteAri, but you get invited if you really wanted to. So that was between them, which actually does bleed into things a little bit, especially in the discussions around Ritual a little bit. But Karakano was 1998, I think, as well, like Love and Pop. So it's between these two movies. Also, we've done discussions for Gunbuster and Diebuster, which are, Gunbuster is an Anno directorial / writing thing. I think you wrote the first two episodes and directed most of the episodes. We talked about it there. He only did storyboarding for Diebuster. But they're all Gainax anime too. So we have some familiarity here, EliteAri. This is a bit of a journey through his stuff that we've continued a little bit. Obviously, I love Evangelion. I love End of Evangelion. I love the great Diebuster too. EliteAri likes shitty Gunbuster. Nobody's perfect. which is funny because I'm trying to do an Anno thing, and Anno didn't have much to do with Diebuster. But we're
Mm-hmm.
moving on EliteAri. So Hideaki Anno, he's like my favorite guy. Like out of my top 10 movies before this EliteAri, let's not spoil anything. There were two Hideaki Anno movies in my top 10. Of course, the end of Evangelion, the fourth rebuild film, and also Evangelion itself would probably be one of my favorite TV shows ever, and
Mm-hmm.
definitely my favorite anime ever. So it's all tying in a little bit, and that's why we did these, because these are his two live action movies, or what I thought were his live action movies that weren't Godzilla related.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know about the Great Cutie Honey though, so I thought we would pair them just like we paired Conclave and Honora in an old discussion we did that has EliteAri. You'll be proud of this. 80 views, pretty
Oh
cool.
wow.
And I think it had 77 before I rewatched it in 3 different periods over the
Nice.
last 2 days. They were tied together because they were both Best Picture nominees for 2024. So it makes thematic sense to be here talking about it. This is also some background, some introduction for people who maybe haven't seen both these movies. They're not the most popular movies in the world.
Mm.
I think Ritual didn't have an English release until very recently. So anyway, EliteAri, I've probably explained bits of that to you before, but I'm almost definitely assuming that you forgot all that, and maybe you remembered that these were both directed by the same person that probably did Ava. Did you
Yeah, no,
remember all this
I
going
knew
in?
it was directed by Hideaki Anno or something. I knew it was him, the Gunbuster guy.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, I didn't really know anything.
Yeah.
The other thing I'm curious about is how did you hear about these? Like, why? What made you want to watch these? Or like,
Well, I've just seen a million YouTube videos about Hideaki Anno because there are a million,
okay,
and they all talk about his filmography and stuff like that. And I've just, I click on Letterbox all day.
mm-hmm.
So I had seen them there and everything like that. On Letterbox, I think Love and Pop has a 4.1 and Ritual has a 4.3, so they're both very well reviewed on
Mm-hmm.
there. So that's kind of what they've also been on my list. Like every time I do a PowerPoint at the end of the months that I've done this year, every time it's like, well, we should really get to Love and Pop and Ritual, and we
Mm-hmm.
should really watch Angel's Egg and Ghost in the Shell too. And we finally did one here today, so that's very
Mm-hmm.
very exciting. Outside of that, I have a brief note about how there's some Evangelion in here. The voice actress for Rei does a lot of voice acting in both of these movies. Well, minimal in Love and Pop, a lot in Ritual, which is interesting, and we can point that out later. A lot of the sound effects are the same. Like the train sound effect is very iconic. And it's in, I think it's in both movies. And it's obviously in Ava a whole hell of a lot. Obviously, trains as sort of like a visual motif is a big thing in Ava, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a big thing in both movies. Again, less so in Love and Pop, I would say. And there's similar musical tracks used, which is very funny, because there is a theme or a track that I have since, like, I had to remind myself wasn't an Ava track, but it is actually just a piece of classical music,
Oh,
which
okay,
I
wait.
forgot.
Yeah, I have just a note on Love and Pop. It opens with a like a I don't know, some tune or something. Like I've heard this before. I couldn't tell if it was like
It
maybe it
was
was something
towards the
from
beginning,
Ava
I
or
know.
maybe it's like some TikTok
Yeah.
sound or maybe it's like from a game or I heard
I'm not
something.
doing a good little
Yeah.
singing of it, but it was also, I remember I had this realization because it was also used in Arrival.
Oh.
Um,
Okay.
and so it was very funny because I'm like, Arrival's using Ava music?
Yeah,
What's
that's
going
kind of
on here? How
crazy.
did they get the rights for this? And then you tab over, you're like, oh, this is the 1595 piece by
Mhm.
Shitty Mozart in D minor or something. And you're like,
Yep.
wow. It's an all,
True.
because Ava does use a lot of classical music, and some of it's like very iconic, like the do, 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 that one,
No,
O'Leary.
I don't. Uh,
You
this is terrible. Okay.
know that one. That one was clear, leader. If you didn't get it now, you're never gonna get it.
I'm not gonna
But
get it.
Karu's in Shinji's hand in the most iconic piece of classical music ever, leader. You would recognize it in one note if it was an actual man singing it here.
Yeah.
And obviously that you're like, well, I've seen this other places. It's literally that Valkyrie song, leader. Rise of the Valkyries or whatever the fuck. You know it.
I don't know. I
Um,
don't know anything about classical music, unlike you apparently. This is crazy.
Yeah, I know everything. I love Evangelion. So that you obviously know in AV, you're like, oh, we're just using classical music here. Couldn't afford the rights for a real song, Anno, you piece of
Hmm.
shit or whatever. But some of them are a little more subtle, Elitary. Now, people are making fun of me for knowing nothing right now because you should obviously always know this, Elitary, but I
Hmm.
didn't. But you're on an even lower level than me. But we don't expect you to be culturally in tune, Elitary.
Yep. Okay.
Anyway, those were just my
Wait.
little notes about.
I have
Go ahead.
one more just general question. Obviously these are
Hmm.
very two differently made movies visually. Was that a budget thing or was that like a choice thing?
I have notes on these individually at the beginning because I have
Okay.
a little intro for each movie, so we can talk more about that, I think, later.
Okay.
Um, Importantly, I think I had definitely seen visuals from Love and Pop before. I didn't realize that it was the whole movie.
Mm.
So I didn't know that entirely going in. Now I have watched the big Steven video about Anno where he goes through everything he's ever done. So I would have seen a lot of footage from both of these in that, but
Mm-hmm.
they sort of just wash over you. Like nothing was like really spoiled or anything like that for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I have gone back and watched that both sequences of that since then. They're like 8-minute sequences or whatever. And I didn't really uh, it didn't really inform me too much more
Mm-hmm.
further. Um, so there are little pieces of Ava here that is definitely like, oh, if you're into the sort of like author following thing, you can get a little bit out of it that way. I would say there is very, very absently little gunbuster in this. Like it's not
Mm-hmm.
really like I guess there's like the one scenes in like episode 5 where Noriko is like back on Earth and she's like a little depressed and she's like lounging around and her titties popping out the side of Lyra. You remember? It's like, well, she was moody then, and I guess
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of a thing in both of these movies. But outside of that, um, Gunbuster and Diebuster are definitely in different categories of sort of like Gynax cool versus like Anno depressive, or Anno sort of character stuff, which I think these more closely go to Ava, though even then, not too much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, in terms of overall like Anno stuff, well, I'm sure there's more later, and there is more later for more specific little details. But that's really all I have overall. Um, and my
Mm-hmm.
next thing, EliteAri, is the what I think Ari thinks, what he thinks I think, what Ari thinks, what I think. So that'll be our structure, unless you have any other little
Mm-hmm.
questions or stuff before we want to get into that stuff.
No, let's do it.
Oh my goodness. So what did I write down first? What I think Ari thinks. Okay, now this is very interesting. Now, how do I navigate this? I moved my headphone a little bit, Leary. Say something so I can make sure
Yep,
I can
I'm
hear you.
here.
Oh my goodness. Now, what was I just about to say? How do I do this without spoiling what I think indirectly? What a conundrum, Leary. So I watched these movies and I felt a certain way about them. And
Okay.
then having seen them, reflecting on what EliteAri would think. Now, I would think EliteAri is a big directing guy and he's big on visuals. And I would say both movies have striking visual things that EliteAri would probably appreciate, if not like. Um, but also, I thought that about Serial Experiments Lane, and then EliteAri just threw and he attacked me. He used the B word. And I think
Wait, but it
both
was
these movies
bad or
could be
boring?
susceptible.
Wait.
Boring,
Okay, yeah,
boring.
true.
And I think both of these movies could be susceptible to EliteAri thinking they were boring. Now, EliteAri is also in a very stressful period right now. He's very much speeding to get through a video, and I've been annoying him the whole process of him making this video to make him watch these movies. So maybe I can blame him not liking these movies on that. Um, which would that'll be my scapegoat. Now, EliteAri, that's kind of I think you would like both these movies. I think you might like Love and Pop a little more. Um, but that depends. Or you could just think they were boring and uninteresting. Now, Leary, I have written down here that you should say what I think next. Should you do that, or should you say what you think? What do you reckon?
I'll say what you think. Um,
Okay, go
I
ahead.
mean, I think it's two things. One is like meta-wise, I think it's pretty clear just based on how much you wanted to record this discussion and how long you
It
expect this
is true.
discussion to be. I think you very much obviously like both of these. However, if I'm just watching the movies and I'm thinking, what would Kyle think about these? Um, I would I'm not sure. I feel like there's probably something specific in each movie that you probably really like. And I'm not sure which one of these you'd like more though. I could see you attaching to one of them and being like, "Oh, I really like this one more," or I could see you like choosing both and being like, "Oh, they're both really great." But that's my guess. I'm almost certain that you like these a lot. Um,
Interesting.
yeah.
Now, it does go. I was pestering a leader, and me and CeeLo Pill were making fun of you on Twitter for like 3 days. Um, so yeah, I kind of spoiled maybe in a meta sense that. Also, I just briefly, I will bring up CeeLo Pill. So CeeLo Pill has been a big advocate. I think he found out about Love and Pop because I would just talk about it all the time and how much I wanted to watch it. He watched Love and Pop a few months ago, or maybe even a year ago or something, and he gave it 5 stars, and it's like his favorite movie. So that's interesting. And then he watched Ritual because I told him to do it because we were going to record on Wednesday, but that didn't happen. You know, EliteAri's busy or something. So he watched it Tuesday night, and he only gave it 4.5 stars.
Oh,
EliteAri, so
wow.
that's crazy. So yeah, just CeeLo Pill might be the only person paying attention to this EliteAri. So it's just interesting. That is an add a little bit of context here, and influence. But true, I was pestering EliteAri a lot to do this. But also I just wanted to get it out of the way, and also it will be very funny if I was thinking these things out. Like next time, if we're doing Sherlock or whatever next, and I'm pestering you, and it's just a subversion to me say it's fucking dog shit, that would be pretty
I
funny.
mean, you tricked me with wondering priority, that's for sure.
That is true. That was good. It's so exciting, EliteAri, when we both haven't seen, like, it's not somebody holding somebody's hand to it, and we both got to review. It's just get excited, EliteAri. Are you gonna go first?
Yeah, I can go.
I feel like I'm less interesting right now, so maybe I should go first.
No, I'll go first, I think. Because then you can, respond to stuff.
So we want to hear. So hold on, build this up, EliteAri. So are we gonna do Love and Pop number, Ritual number, no comments in between, or are we gonna say which one's better, and then what are we doing?
I think it's
lead
important.
Your heart wherever it takes you.
I need to give you some context. I think I can't just give a number here because the number's gonna betray the experience, I think. So I have to say, firstly, Kyle told me there's one important thing he told me, which is that you should watch like the first one and then like wait a bit and then watch the second one, which is what I ended up doing. I watched Love and Pop yesterday, and then today, I think maybe roughly like 24 hours afterwards, I started Ritual. So there's a bit of a gap between them. Now, when I was first watching Love and Pop, my initial impressions were unbelievably boring, very confusing, and I was like, man, this is like, if this isn't a 1 out of 5, I don't know what is. There's been like one other thing I've watched in the past, which has been a 1 out of 5, like clearly, besides if we're ignoring Gun of Sinners, I guess, but it's Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, which was like a comedy. It was like really weirdly directed and kind of weird and really, really boring, where I almost fell asleep like many times throughout that. Kind of similar here, where it was like really weird. Directing was much better in this and really is actually interesting or whatever. But I was falling asleep and I'm like, this is not good or whatever. Then I got to the end of it. And ever since then, it's absolutely soared in appreciation for it. It is strange. Maybe the ending like brought it all together or something. Because when I finished, I'm like, you know what? It's not a 1 out of 5. It's like a 2 out of 5. And then today, like when I'm thinking about it and when I'm watching Ritual and I'm like thinking about Love and Pop and everything, and it's like going on. I'm like, oh, it's like a 3 out of 5. And then I think about it, I'm like, you know, it's like a 4 out of 5. Now I never reached a 5 out of 5. It's like a crazy, but I don't quite know what I think about it. But it's like, to me, it's like I really liked it. Now I don't know if that's like a 3 or a 4, but yeah, I think I really like Love and Pop. So very surprisingly, you wouldn't have caught me saying this if we like recorded right after me watching it yesterday.
This was not the plan. Like I didn't expect you to not like it and then appreciate it. So that wasn't like, I was just like, well, I don't know. There's things to think about in both movies. Like what I was afraid of is EliteAri was gonna like speed through the like both of them in one evening and then be here and be like, well, I don't remember a fucking thing about this movie. So that's what I was trying to avoid. I think it is important that I knew the conceit for both movies going in. Because
I had no idea.
Love and Pop, I could very much see it being very confusing at the beginning if you didn't know that it was about girls that like go on dates with older guys or whatever. I don't want to talk about it too much because this is still our overall thoughts section. But that would I should have probably hammered that home for EliteAri, especially after I'd watched it. But interesting. Is that a unique viewing experience? Have you ever had a viewing experience like that before?
No, usually if I don't like something, it's like pretty firmly going to stay in the negative camp, if not like the actual rating I give it initially. To go from like negative to positive in one day is kind of crazy, I think. But yeah.
Okay, we won't talk about it too much more. But you can move on to Ritual then.
Okay, yeah, Ritual is I think much clearer because I just finished it like maybe like 10 minutes ago or something. let me think about it because I haven't truly thought about what number I'd give it.
Should I do Love and Pop and then you do Ritual and then I do Ritual?
No, I'll do Ritual here.
Okay.
Ritual has much more what's the word, I guess, like descriptively real, very relatable stuff, like unbelievably so. It's more interesting, like it's much like nicer to look at
More of a
directing
plot.
wise. I don't know if it has more of a plot. I don't know about that. I think it was probably much more confusing. But overall, like all of this, like it was really, really like some parts really stood out really well. It was very well directed and everything. I probably don't like it as much as Love and Pop though. I think I would probably give this firmly like a 3 out of 5, I think. Yeah, that's what I would say about this.
Interesting. Okay. I thought you were doing the because you started off Love and Pop negative, went to positive. So I was like, is EliteAri
Mhm.
doing the starting off positive? Because you
No.
started listing things. I'm like, he's reaching to list things here. Um, Interesting. I don't really have anything to say about your little Love and Pop.
All right.
Ritual description there. Oh my god, EliteAri.
Mhm.
I don't want to just read out my little intro here, but I guess maybe it probably makes sense to. What I have written down here is for Love and Pop, this is really a movie of two parts to me. I really enjoyed the girls just hanging out in the various weirdos and the service thing, and I was enamored, literally, with the
Mhm.
directing. So I really liked the beginning of that movie. Then it has a shift, and then it sort of becomes a more I don't want to say serious, but a more dire movie. And I wasn't sure how I
Mhm.
felt about that, but I've thought about it a lot. Um, Love and Pop was never going beneath 4.5 for me. I really
Okay.
enjoyed just the watching experience the whole time. So immediately I was very in. I very much liked the dynamic of the girls. I liked them hanging out. I thought they were all sort of interesting little archetypes.
Mhm.
Um, and I think the conceit is really interesting and kind of one I guess it is interesting, but also how I don't know how it's done is interesting. But like the concept of like the plot being us interacting with various weird guys that would pay like high school girls to go on dates with them was like fascinating, and I liked how that reflected certain characterization in our four main girls. Not that I remember any of the girls' names, but it was a week
Mhm.
ago, Leary.
Mhm.
Um, Ritual might be the best movie I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my god.
Um,
Mhm.
I think, yeah, I like everything about this movie. I think I sort of
Mhm.
spoiled it because on Twitter I was just posting images like
Mhm.
every like not every few hours, but every time CeeLo Build would tweet something to me, I just tweet another thing, and it became very obvious that I liked Ritual more than Love and Pop.
Hmm.
And So I sort of spoiled it for CeeLo Build too. Um,
Hmm.
I
Interesting.
don't know what to say without getting into specifics about Ritual. I think visually, another thing I've written down here, and this is my last note before the actual stuff, is these are probably the two most visually impressive movies I've ever seen. They might literally just be the two. And then I ran through a bunch of things, and it wasn't just movies. I was like, it's more formalized than Lane. Barry Lyndon was more of a painting, which I didn't really appreciate as much. Portrait of a Lady on Fire was picturesque and
Mm.
was more about framing and stuff. Love is more erratically abstract, which is crazy because these
Mhm.
movies are like really abstract. But Blonde is just the greatest movie ever, EliteAri.
Mhm.
And the Lighthouse isn't as cool as EliteAri pretends it is.
Oh, it's
Haha,
so
got
cool.
him.
Black and white.
Um,
Oh my god.
but it did come to my mind when I was thinking of like, what if I had to make a list of the most visually impressive things I've seen?
Mhm.
Because a lot of stuff I like The Sopranos, Mad Men, Boardwalk Empire, all that shit. It's not like it's very like realism,
Mhm.
sort of vision
Hello? Oh no, Kyle's
concept
gone.
of
Oh no,
realism.
you're back. You cut out
What?
for like 2 seconds or 3 seconds.
I moved the microphone a little bit. I'll keep my hands off Illyria, right?
Yeah.
Those things are about realism.
Mhm.
In terms of other Anno stuff, obviously, End of Ava and especially the fourth rebuild film are very, very abstract too. They're probably
Mhm.
the most similar to these movies, but I do think um, they handle it very differently, I guess. Uh, Love and Pop is very much about the sort of low budget look and visual flair and sort of the camera movements and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Whereas Ritual is more like setting and set design and stuff like that. Though it does have
Sure.
very pretty shots other ways, and I think they are two very cool things. I guess in terms of more of a comparison to Ritual EliteAri, Percularly is up for this one. I guess Run Lola Run would maybe be the most
Oh yeah, true.
similar thing where like it's sort of abstract, but it's sort of not, and a lot of it is color too.
Yeah,
Yeah, Run Lola Run. What a movie, EliteAri.
yeah, it's a good
When are we
movie.
doing that
I love that
one?
movie.
So you predicted that that there wouldn't be a big difference, or you just couldn't tell which one I would like more.
I couldn't tell which one you'd like more. So I guess it's kind of surprising it's Ritual, but yeah, interesting.
Yeah, the interesting EliteAri. I believed in you more. I thought you would like them more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what?
But we can
My
talk about it more
biggest bane when it comes to watching and consuming anything, whether it be the Garden of Sinners or Serial Experiments Lane or the Great Ritual and a Love and Pop, is
on Neon
always
Genesis Evangelion in a month.
Yes, actually, unironically, it is always me understanding it. Okay, it's
Oh,
if
I
it
thought you were
is.
just gonna say if it's boring.
No, because usually it's boring because I'm struggling to understand it. I can't remember the character names. I don't know. Like I don't know what. You said there was like 4 girls in Love and Pop. I'm like, there were 4 girls. I remember
Four
one
main
girl.
girls.
There was one girl and she was the main character. Like I don't know who the other ones were. One of them had the phone or something.
No.
I don't know. So it was like,
Yes.
yeah, the confusingness is like really what holds these things back. I think. Like
So
unironically,
EliteAri's a racist, and that's why he
No.
didn't like Love and Pop.
unironically though, second watch throughs are very like primed to increase these scores because I think
Oh,
I'd
yes,
be much more
Kyle
familiar with what's
Entertainment talking
happening.
point, kid.
Thank you. Yeah.
Um, I can definitely see how Love and Pop is very confusing initially. I
Mhm.
like Ritual is confusing also, but it's like the confusing part is like part of the interpretive
Yeah,
appeal,
sure.
whereas Love and Pop, it has a little bit of that, but not as much. All right, EliteAri, change the timestamp to Love and Pop. We're talking about Love and Pop now, okay?
Mhm.
And only Love and Pop, maybe. Who knows? I'll read my little intro here, even though I kind of already did. This is a movie of 2 parts to me. I really enjoyed just the girls hanging out. I said that part. Then there's obviously a more serious turn, and it didn't not work. It didn't not work, but it was just less enjoyable? Question mark. Some of the visuals at the end are incredible. EliteAri, her curled up. I don't know if we were. I don't know if we wanted to get into this so quickly. Her curled
Mhm.
up naked in the hotel room bathroom while the water is running and the lights were changing is probably the coolest shot in the movie. My goodness. I don't know. We were doing standout moments.
Mhm.
Um, so that was my little intro here. I guess there's, I guess a thing to clarify is that like the cool thing about this movie, I guess, is supposed to be that it's all shot on like a little digital camera and like that Anno had or whatever or something, and that's why he did it. That's like the first thing people talk about when they talk about this movie.
Mhm.
And I thought it was cool. Like the shots on the toy train and stuff are really cool. There's a million shots that are really cool. The camera's always swirling. There's a cool shot where they walk. I don't
Mhm.
even know how to describe the shot. They're walking on like this stair seating thing, and the camera like shifts as they turn. Also, obviously, there's like the closing credit shot that's really cool, where it's just a long tracking shot
Mhm.
of them walking in like sewer water. It seems like there's a million
Mhm.
other cool shots. I went back to rewatch Ritual a lot more to make notes than Love and Pop, so my
Mhm.
brain is a little spotty. I will say, like, I really liked the first like 2/3, and then like basically when she goes on her 2 individual dates, it is sort of like she sort of starts getting abused, and I was like, I kind of was buying into this as sort of like a funny, fun movie, and then it
Mhm.
had this shift, and it leaves sort of a bad taste in your mouth. Uh, the implied like theming of it is also very interesting and kind of gross, I think. Um, which is all interesting, but I guess we'll go a bit slower here. So that was generally my uh more overall what do you call it, journey with the movie,
Mhm.
I
So
guess. It was
very,
like really
very.
like time, and then at the end I was like, oh, I don't know if this is what I wanted the direction of the movie to be.
Uh-huh.
um
What does this remind you of?
I don't know,
The Great
what are we.
Wandering Priorities is basically exactly what you said for that.
Oh no, that's different.
Mhm.
Definitely the girls hanging out is completely different.
Okay.
Like the One Direct Priority, I came in talking about how great the girls hanging out was, but that was very much like anime hanging out, I guess, or it's
Mhm.
like bubbly characters. I guess it's kind of similar, but there's more like cut-in shots and intrigue, I guess, in with the girls in Love and Pop. Um, we're sort of getting mini flashbacks, and they all are very like different characters, and they're all. It's more like I don't even know if this is true, but like thematically tied in on sort of like a surface level thematic layer rather than like
Hmm.
probably what a Wonder Egg thematic layer where it's
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The Love and Pop is like about growing up as a girl, whereas Wonder Egg
Mm-hmm.
Priority is like it is about that too, but it's like about like depression, bro, or something. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they're very different. Like I don't think they're very comparable to me. Obviously, the I didn't like the endings too much of either of them. Though
Mm-hmm.
I think I do like I don't think I guess my problem with Wonder Egg would be like, well, I don't like it sort of feels like it peters off, whereas this I definitely feel like it's like this is the thing they were gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
I sort of sum it off direction wise. So I guess more interesting than any of this is what about it. I guess you can walk through more of your journey with it, and then what
Mm-hmm.
about it has become more interesting over a
Hmm.
day, you or
Yeah.
Leary?
So I guess I would say, in terms of what you're saying in response to all that, like I said, I didn't even know there were like other girls in this movie. Like I'd have to go back and watch the beginning stuff again. Because to me it definitely got more interesting in the latter half, where it was clearer, easier to follow. I think that's unironically what it was, where I was like, oh, I know what's happening now. I get it. She's like going on dates with these people to get money because she wants a ring. Like I get it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, which is interesting. I like that. However, there is some
Should I
stuff I
go through the
do.
four characters?
No, wait. But there is some stuff I do remember liking from the beginning though, which is like the just them like I remember there was like monologues going on. Oh, both these movies have monologues, and I hate monologues usually. Like
Yeah.
not monologues like as in the character, but like the narrating monologue where they're talking about philosophy and stuff. Oh, I hate that every time and everything. But it was fine in Love and Pop whenever it happened. But they're like, I remember she was talking about how like, oh, there's like these things we don't talk about, and not because like we don't want to talk about it, because it's just like we just don't talk about it. I'm like, oh, this is
Yeah,
like
that was
interesting. Yeah,
yeah.
I like that kind of stuff toward the beginning of the movie. Um, that was all good. I like the stuff toward the end where it was more like, oh, what's gonna happen? Like, is she gonna get the money? Like, I'm hoping for her, but bad things are gonna happen. Like, I was invested in that kind of stuff. Um, I really like the final scene where now I'm not sure I understand the point of it or anything, but I think it is really cool to go from the world that she was in to go back to her parents' home where they're like working on this like train track or not train, whatever it was, some train thing. And they're all like happy and the dad's like cheerful and obviously it is a stark contrast to the rest of the life that she was experiencing. It's really interesting. I like that ending a lot. Um, and I guess just in terms of visuals and stuff, the bathtub thing didn't really stand out to me. More so, I agree with your stuff about the interesting angles and stuff is probably what stood out the most. And now obviously there's like a bunch of like under skirt stuff, or like the camera's like under the skirt looking down at the
Yeah.
ground and stuff. I thought that was all really interesting. But also at the same time, sometimes it felt a little bit too comedic or something. Where I'm like, oh, it's obviously this is like being done to make you laugh or something, but which I'm like, oh, I don't know. But most of the time it was really well done. And then I also really like visually the train track like dream thing where it's like that you're all the camera
Yeah.
mounted on this thing and you're going back and seeing these frozen moments in time or something in a dream. I thought that was really cool. Um, so yeah, that's my kind of journey overall kind of thoughts on all the stuff you said, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I have a few things to say about what you said, so that's
Mm.
fun. Um, I definitely think that there are strong moments of juxtaposition, like you're talking about with the ending, where it's like pretending to be a grown up and then going back to your parents' house, and sort of the
Mm.
inherent like disarming or like patheticness of that in a sense. Now, obviously, she belongs at her parents' house. She's like 16 or 15 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it is funny because this happens in movies a lot, where even in Honora, this happens. She goes back to like her parents, or I don't know, remember if it's her parents' house. It's like the house she lives in with her sister and her boyfriend or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and she has like a room. And like, there's something about like having a room that feels like very childish in a sense. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously in Honora, it's like, oh, she's back where she began. That's like kind of tragic in a sense. Um, here it has that sense of like growing up is difficult, but it's also like a safe space because she is a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which kind of gets into because I guess this was maybe the most impressive thematic thing about the movie to me was the exploration of this growing up stuff, and it has like the general archetypes you see in a lot of things, but I thought it was handled with like little bits of nuance that made me appreciate it. I guess I am transitioning into the four girls thing. So there's the main girl who is like traditional main character in Japanese things, it seems, where she's like not really interesting and she's not really into anything. She's just sort of the main, like the more of the blank slate, sort of like happy girl. I think even like if we do the Wonder Egg priority comparison, like I is kind of like this.
Mm-hmm.
Are you impressed I remember the name, Illyria?
Yeah, well done. Yeah.
Thank you. Um, Then there's like the slightly older seeming girl who is like having sex all the time and is already doing the more hardcore stuff for like money on the side. Then there's like the tech girl who has like that's really smart and is in um
There's a tech
like she
girl.
has a hobby. Yeah, the girl who originally gets the phone, literally.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yep.
and she's like also like chubby, like not really. It's very funny. It's like Japanese chubby, so she's
Mm-hmm.
slightly not a stick. And
Mm-hmm.
she's like got this the great freeze shot where it like inverts and she's like mad because she looked down and at the scale. That was pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then there's the fourth girl who is like really good at dancing. And she sort of is also a little bit more grown up, but she's like very dedicated to this thing. And even
Mm-hmm.
like the resolution at the end is the main girl wants to go dancing because she wanted to do dancing originally, but now the other girl's so far ahead that why should she even start? But
Mm-hmm.
sort of like you should start now is sort of like part of the thematic journey at the end.
Oh, that reminds me. I don't know if I should cut you off. Wait, keep going. You'll forget.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, this movie has a lot of stuff, which is something that Kyle always talks about that I can never relate to, which is the whole like, oh, people are moving ahead of me, and I'm like, I'm getting old and I can't do anything,
True.
and I'm like, oh my god, Kyle's like gonna really like this, but I did not relate to any of that, but
Yeah,
yeah,
Leader, he's just like old and happy with being old. You
true,
know, if an 18-year-old took a EliteAri's job tomorrow, he would just be so happy.
true,
No, he wouldn't. That was an extreme example. EliteAri was supposed to laugh.
mm-hmm.
Now, it is true that was part of the thing at the end of like missing out or a FOMO, um, which is definitely a big part of this like growing up
Mm-hmm.
sort of like metaphor here, where it's like, well, everybody's like really like everybody's kind of insecure around the girl that seems to be more grown up, even though she's clearly like the most miserable because being exposed to growing up is like to these weird sexual acts from these like
Mm-hmm.
weirdos, and it's like clearly like does damage to you, and that's like part of growing up, and especially as a young girl navigating sex sounds like a nightmare. Um, and very easy to be taken advantage of or to
Mm-hmm.
just go along with things you don't like, et cetera, which is another thing because the main character does have a boyfriend that she's like, oh, sometimes hanging out with him sucks because he just
Mm-hmm.
wants to fuck all the time or whatever. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like these different like, and obviously like the prostitution as like a metaphor. This is another big thing in Anora. I don't know, it's on the brain, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like how much of prostitution is like immoral, how much of prostitution is just like getting what you want and actually getting something out of like being taken advantage of versus like how much of a relationship is that just happening but you really getting nothing but hoping to get love but then you don't really, et cetera, et cetera. And sort of like a double-edged sword and stuff like that. Because I think at some point they have the thing where like the older girl like is mad that like the divorced guys she's with won't like leave their wives for her. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like they're obviously not going to do that because it would out them kind of as a pedophile, but also
Mm-hmm.
because that's like your position is like as the side girl type thing, and she doesn't understand that because she isn't actually grown up, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
So I really liked that exploration in the movie. So that was another big positive. The monologues thing is really interesting because the way you said it is implied, and we're not going to talk about it yet, Alira, that you didn't like the ritual versions. This is a very big Anno thing. This happens a lot in Ava. And I did definitely also think about Karanoki Yokai a lot,
Oh
where I was
god.
like, in that it's like terrible. But in this, it's the greatest thing of all time, EliteAri, because they're
Mm-hmm.
actually saying interesting things.
Yeah, that's the big
Um,
distinction. Yeah, like if it's something you can relate to or even understand, like it's good. But
yeah.
yeah,
Or it's not like in like based on like 7 different
having a
plot
split
details about how
personality of
Shiki is
yeah,
actually
exactly.
7 people and she's
Yeah.
a boy and a girl and something. Shut up, Heath. Anyway, I wonder if Heath's watching this. Maybe not a leader. Maybe we
Mm-hmm.
can shit talk Karanoki Yokai as much as we want without feeling bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I remember that last movie. What a great movie.
Yep.
But true. I really, really, really liked. Like, I literally have one of the ritual monologues written out, so we're going to talk
Oh
about it later.
wow.
Um, in the I guess I don't remember the Love is Pop ones as much. A lot of them were the main girl talking about sort of her place and things, and obviously she had the dream ones and everything like that. I love monologues. Monologues are the greatest things of all time.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we've got to get into Shakespeare later. They got some good
Mm-hmm.
monologues, I hear.
And the TV show
Um,
Solos.
True, EliteAri. That show you were talking about that was cool. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
should check out EliteAri's second to last digest. Um, I guess those were all the things that you said that I wanted to respond to.
Mm-hmm.
I have a bunch of other notes here. My notes for Love and Pop are sort of miscellaneous and stuff like that. Is there anything that stands out to you that you immediately want to talk about? Or should we go
I guess I do want to know. You were saying about the like
the
what's happening with the
shift?
budget. Yeah, it's like is this an intentional kind of
Oh,
thing or?
um, I don't know. It probably helps that it was probably cheap to make. I don't know for a fact that it was cheap to make. I don't know. One of
Yeah.
these girls could be really famous or something in Japan. Um,
Well, okay.
the
How about like I don't know if you're gonna know this at all. Was he famous at this point, like from Evangelion, or did people just not know
Oh
who he
yeah,
was? Or
Evangelion was like I think it's like the highest grossing Japanese media franchise in
yeah,
Japan or
sure.
whatever because the pachinko machines make so much. Even saying that sounds impossible because Pokemon literally exists. But
Well, gambling's a big thing.
um
Mhm.
yeah. I don't know. Well, there are Pokemon pachinko machines, I think.
That's
Anyway, it doesn't
crazy.
matter.
Okay.
Um now that I'm saying that, is there? I know Pokemon was originally like inspired by pachinko machines, but maybe Pokemon doesn't have pachinko machines.
Hmm.
But if you're Nintendo, make the pachinko machines. What are you doing? We gotta
True.
make some goddamn motherfucking money out here. The but obviously all that progress like builds up on itself, and he's only like, well, I guess the original series would have ended, but obviously the original series ends on a very controversial note, and then End of Ava kind of fixes the thingy there.
Hmm.
I know a lot of the videos you watch, and I don't know how true this is, but I'm going to assume it's true. Is
Hmm.
like he immediately started making this, and he like, well, the big thing to say about Anno is that he like hates anime and just wants to get away from it. So it's like part of that
Hmm.
narrative that like, oh, and immediately he went to make the Great Love and Pop, and he said Evangelion sucks dick, kill
Hmm.
yourself, anime fans. He had to make a real movies, which kind of bleeds over into Ritual's like narrative a little bit. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, so like he just started immediately, I guess, is like the thing.
Okay. Interesting.
I don't think either one of these movies was too like successful in that sense. Um, and like Gainax, and I don't know too much about this. Again, I just know YouTube videos. Like, was even though Evangelion was like making so much money, they were continuously in like money troubles because they were like they like I think their company is now dead because they didn't pay their taxes or something, and the main guy went to jail or something. Like they were fucking up the money. So he I know he had to go back to make Karakano, and like literally the story with that is like, oh, they were just like, what the fuck are we gonna make? And it's like somebody had the Karakano manga on the table
Hmm.
somewhere, and they're like, let's fucking make this shit, and then they made it, and then that was somewhat successful. And but Anno leaves halfway through the production of that or something. I don't
Hmm.
know all the details, but it being cheap probably did help.
Hmm.
I assume like Shin Godzilla has a big budget, and I assume that made a lot of money, but that's in 2016, so that's a
Hmm.
long time after that. Um,
Hmm.
so
Interesting.
yeah, I'm assuming it being cheap is like helpful. Let's look up
Okay.
the budget,
Wait. I
EliteAri.
guess you said this is his first like live action thing. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
Yeah. I think.
kind of,
Yeah,
basically,
because
yeah.
it is.
His
This
first full
is.
movie,
I would
definitely.
say this is pretty impressive as like a first live action thing. Like it's really
Yeah,
interestingly directed. A lot. I wouldn't expect like this is made by a first time director or anything. Just despite I guess like the how low quality it looks. I guess, but besides that, like I think it's interesting.
but
Um.
yeah, but that's definitely like a what do you call it? A artistic decision, I would say.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, Not explicitly stated the budget is. The film's unique production choices, including its entirely digital video, DV, camera usage, and atypical visual style, suggest it was likely a moderate budget compared to traditional theatrical
Hmm.
productions at the time. But there is CGI in the movie, which I kind
Oh,
of
at
like,
one
even though it
point.
looked really old.
Wait, you mean at
Um,
the end? Is that what you're talking about?
yeah, I think
Yeah,
there's
that
one
was
other sequence
sick.
where there's
I love that.
CGI.
That was
Yeah, I
awesome.
liked it a lot, huh?
Yeah.
Um, so that probably takes some money, right? I don't know.
I
Um,
have no idea.
and I don't think Gainax like published this movie or whatever. I think it was like an independent thing. I don't know. So yeah, I don't know all the
Mm.
background details, I guess.
Hmm.
But true. And obviously Anno has a very like distinct directorial style, even in End of Ava, like a very creative vision. Um,
Hmm.
so like it's not really his first. Like he's directed movies before, just not live action movies. Now
Yeah.
obviously it's
Sure.
very different. You got to fucking actually go somewhere rather than drawing a bunch of stuff, etc., etc.
Hmm.
Um, he's got an advantage over another first time director, I guess.
Hmm.
But maybe that bring all that baggage you bring actually sets you back a little, so it's even more impressive. Who knows?
Yep.
Um, my first note here is EliteAri, the girls are so young and skinny. And this is like an anime comparison, because sometimes in anime EliteAri, you got these 15-year-old girls and they look like Yu-Gi-Oh characters, and you're like, who is this 25-year-old bombshell EliteAri? You love the great Yu-Gi-Oh girls. And here you're like, ooh, this is some pedophiles we're dealing with, Leroy. We gotta kill them. And so
Mm.
that was a nice little visual difference that I definitely thought. I guess when did you realize they were prostituting themselves, the leader, since you didn't know the conceit?
I think when the first time was when they went to the karaoke with the guy. And I was like, oh, so I
Yeah,
get what
that's
they're
like the
doing.
third
They're
one, I
like,
think.
yeah, it took me
Yeah,
at that point, I think. But I was like, I get it now.
because
Okay, they want
I
the ring.
definitely I liked it as like a narrative device of like because they're kind of doing characterization for the main girls as they're doing this. Like I think the first one is just a guy that like weird like it's very interesting because they do toe the line, and Anno does this a lot with male characters and a lot of his stuff where it's like, and this is like Nora did this too, where it's like, is this guy a creepy serial killer? And it's like there's like parts where we go here and then we're like, oh, but they're kind of likable and interesting. Are they just like a weird little
Mm,
weeaboo fan? Then you go back and forth, and then usually it is like they're a horrible person.
mm,
Um, but they do it on different ways. Like there's one guy that really likes to cook, but he's a little weird. But does he just want to feed the girls and then pay them? Like, oh, that's
mm,
sweet, I guess. And then there's like the businessman who clearly just wants to lecture young girls because he has a daughter that won't listen to him.
mm,
And like he's like also feeding with them, but it's like not explicitly sexual.
mm,
And I think I'm forgetting one other one besides the grape dude, who
mm.
and that's not a euphemism for the word rape, literally. He likes them to chew grapes or whatever
Yeah, it was
at
strange.
karaoke or something. Um, I think there was one other one too. And also they've got like the phone and they're trying to get the like young boys to call for this guy.
Mm,
Who ends up being like a nice guy, but the implication is that he's a bit of a pedophile, so that's always
mm,
interesting. Um, I really like that as like a characterizing piece, and I liked it because it does give you like little options of like descriptive realism of like, oh, I know this guy, like this old guy that just wants to yell at people. That's like a guy that tracks, and it's funny to see them interact here. And
mm,
it's also funny because like it's also runs like the social line of like how the girls act, and are they like making fun of him constantly, or is he like making fun of them? And like
mm,
where's the power, like the social power here? Is it with like the prostitute? Is the prostitute who's like giggling at you because you're fat the one with the social power here and the cool one? Or is it you who knows that she's like selling her body for something? And it's like it kind of just depends on like the not the acting in the situation, but like the the performance in the situation and stuff like that. It's
mm,
very interesting on sort of like a social level to think about. So I was liking all that stuff. And I don't know. I feel like I used, because I was about to just say just now, like I usually like these coming of age stories, but I remember when they started doing it in Attack on Titan, I remember being like, now this is like literally 5 years ago when we have like
mm,
chapter 123, I think it is, where they're all partying with the kids that are Eren eventually stomps or whatever. Spoilers for Attack on Titan, I guess. The And I remember then being like, I usually hate coming of age nonsense or whatever. So
mm,
it's funny that I just caught myself saying the same thing. These are 5 years apart, well, the exact opposite things.
mm,
So I don't know if I do usually like it, but I was enjoying all that stuff nonetheless. So yeah, I guess, so I guess this is a question, so you can talk, Illyri.
mm.
So is it, so what part of it do you like now more? Is it like, I assume it's not thinking about the thematic stuff. I assume it's like, the visual stuff, because I was very much in on sort of like the surface layer. I like the character interactions. I like the visuals.
Mm.
I like the performances. I like the characters, sort of thing. Whereas it seems like, is it just like you sort of figured it out and then it was more interesting in retrospect?
No, I think it's the firstly, there's two stages to it. One is that when I got to the end of the movie, I liked it more because of the final scene. I thought that was really cool, the contrast. Secondly, though, like over time, um, I came to appreciate the slice of life element of it. Now this is something I've
Yeah.
talked about in my digest a lot, which is that like more recently, especially with the Florida Project. The whole appeal of the Florida Project is how
Yeah.
slice of life it is.
You said that in the Inora discussion a bunch.
Did I also say that? Okay, yeah. And there was
Yeah,
another
you're
thing I
like,
watched
Inora, I like the
recently.
slice of life part.
The Porcupine Lake was also slice of life. I didn't actually like it in that. Now, I think, yeah, because when I think of this movie now in retrospect, having had time to think about it, I'm like, oh, yeah, they were like, it was like girls. They were living a life. It was kind of like scary and like there was like some like interesting like dialogue about friends and stuff. And there was that one scene with like an ATM or something, and they're all like just quiet, and like this girl's breaking down about how I want to split the money because I want to be friends forever. And I'm like, oh, this is like really cute, like slice of life friendly
Yeah, that was
stuff.
cool. Yeah.
That's the main thing that's appreciated over time, which is like I feel like I I just like watching it, where I'm like, oh, this is like nice. Like it's just not nice as in like, oh, it's a good thing
Yeah.
happening or anything, but I'm like, oh, this is like a nice like capture of someone's life here. which I like a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, because when we talk about slice of life thing, it is just like characters hanging out, right?
Yeah.
Mostly. Now this is giving you hope for Ava because there's a big part in the middle of Ava where it is a lot of like episodic slice of life stuff. So maybe EliteAri will like that part.
Mm-hmm.
Epic. But yeah, it is like my favorite. Sometimes I joke around that is my favorite part of Ava because it is usually the part that people are more iffy on. But yeah, I do. I think I'm usually the same. Like even in Karanoki Yokai, my favorite parts of the first movie were when like we were kind of doing a shipping thing before we were doing a shipping thing. Or even when that redhead kid was hanging out at Shiki's apartment.
Oh yeah,
or whatever.
true.
The what a franchise!
I can't believe that franchise made me cry. When I think of it every time, like, how
you're
did that
an
happen?
idiot though. You cried everything. You're a big pussy.
Hey, these two movies
did you
didn't
cry
make
in
me
these
cry.
movies?
No, neither.
Oh, there you go. They didn't make me cry either, Leary. I'm a real man.
Mm-hmm.
Slice of life good, I think was my point there, Leary.
Mm-hmm.
True. Should I move on to my next doc point? I was just looking through my doc point. I was like, oh, there's some interesting things. One of them is just direction, exclamation part. What a great point. Then the next one is trains, exclamation mark. True, trains are a thing.
All right,
Autistic people like trains.
That's what I was going to say. This is not about the autism thing, but the completely unrelated to this movie. I know train sets like that are like a popular thing. Like I've seen them in a bunch of stuff. I know, like I think I've been to like shops and
my
stuff.
older cousins used to like it.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I don't understand it. Like I don't get the appeal like at all. Usually most things
It's
I'd be like,
cool.
Yeah, but like what do you if you're doing it, is it more of a collection thing where you're like, oh, I'm gonna like get a collection of like different
it's like a visual thing.
Because
it's like, did you ever have those toy mats as a kid where it was like a road?
Oh yeah,
and like
yeah,
different buildings.
Yeah, sure.
Like that was always fun because like your visuals, and then you can make the car go around it, and you're like visiting all the places. It's sort of like, I think a lot of it is like the space you build it in. Of like you're in like your house, and you're gonna make the whole track go throughout your house. And that's, like,
okay.
cool.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
Because something that was really cool, and I don't think I have a note on this, so I'll bring it up now. Is I really liked that like the parents were doing things. Like the dad was just into trains, but the mum was like going to swim meets or whatever, and the sister was really moving out or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess I was gonna pivot into something else, but now I actually do want to talk, and this ties back into the growing up thing. Like the sister is clearly a little bit ahead of our main character, and so it's very interesting because she is like more dark and sort of not like dark, but she's like more reserved and like sure. Where it's clear like she's already been through this like sort of period that the younger sister, the main character, is gonna have to go through, and it feels very much like you have to get past this precipice to understand to sort of like become a woman, and like moving out is obviously a big part of that and stuff like that. There's also a big thing because I have a little note here about girl archetypes: a girl who's a little more sexual, a girl with a dream, a girl who's into computers, and a girl who's into anything, being the main character, which is very Shinji and is very Lane. Where at the beginning of Serial Experiments, Lane doesn't know anything or do anything. And she doesn't even know about computers and something, and she has to be like introduced. So these blank slate protagonists. I was going to make a video about that one time. But then there comes, and this is actually pointed out in a video I watched, and so I think it was the Goat Jesus video, who does a bunch of Ava videos, but did a video on this, where it seems like she's into like nails, because she's always like looking at her nails, and then she goes to the nail shop, and then she's like very enamored by the nails. And like, I don't know if it's supposed to be like the thing that she should be doing is like becoming like what do you call a nail girl, EliteAri? Nails, there's like a special word for them, where it's like a special fancy title. Like, should she just become that or whatever? And it's also interesting because when she goes there, like the woman, like the nail beautician or something, that's what they call them.
That sounds about right.
She's like very like the way she's presented is very like elegant, and like she has the ring on her finger, which is obviously like a big like chief part of like success and femininity or whatever, at least traditionally. And she's like very like inviting and like safe and like cozy and stuff. And so it's sort of like this is like the direction she should go in type thing. And I thought that was really interesting. Where it is like the mother is like, it's like different parts of a woman's life, right? She's already a mother. Her kids are nearly grown, and she's like, and now they're like old enough. She doesn't have to look after them, so she's got hobbies, and she's going to like swim meets. And it's like she's in this part, and she's like at home. She has a husband and they like have a good relationship. It seems it's very nice. Then there's like the the girl that's like not quite there, which is like the beautician girl who she's engaged or whatever, or she's married and she's like running her own and she's like successful. And then like beneath that would be like the sister, and then like the slightly more sexual girl in their friend group, and then her. It's sort of like this ladder you have to go through, and I think the implication is like everybody has to go through this to get, and because it feels very isolating. Obviously, this like the one bathroom shot I was talking about earlier. She's like literally caught up in a boil, naked in the corner. It's like she's very exposed and isolated, and like feels like, when like really bad shit is happening to you, it feels like the fact that normal life is going on is like an insult to you, because it's like, why is everybody like, it's not that why is everybody not noticing, but like why is everybody ignoring that this happens to them too, but it's happening to me? Like, I don't know, it's a very also like descriptively real thing, but then it sort of fades as you get back into normality. Like she goes back home and her family's still there, and all that sort of stuff. So I guess that just wraps up the overall point about womanhood or growing up or whatever this is about. True. How
Not a
based?
single thing to say. I don't have any thematic comments.
True. Well, we can move on then. I have girls are weird, EliteAri. Talking about the rings and your heart pounding, imagining that as your end goal. Rings are so silly, EliteAri. Why would you care about a ring? Girls are weird, huh?
I feel like I had a thing I thought about this. The ring. No, you
Well,
know what?
also, the ring is like
wait.
a symbol of greed.
Yeah, no, let me say
It's like
though.
interesting.
This whole movie, I was thinking like, firstly, I was like, oh, it's like 120,000. I looked that up, and it's like $1,000. I'm like, you know what? Not bad. Like $1,000. It's not like an insane amount.
You just
like...
take off 2 zeros, EliteAri. That's how yen works.
Yeah, sure. And then I thought like, I don't know. By the end of the movie, I was like, man, you know what? I think I'd be okay with her like spending all that money on the ring. Like I was like, yeah, I get it. Like a ring. Yeah. It's cool. It's like something for you.
Like I'm definitely rooting
like...
for her to get the ring.
Yeah.
Even though that like becomes irrelevant by the end.
Yeah. So about the ring, I guess it was just like, I thought it would give her something where I'm like, oh, you have this. You're like the ring girl. Like you'll be like, people will look at you and be like, she has a ring. I don't know. That's what I thought about.
Well, yeah, it's sort of another. Now that we're going back to it, it is another thing of like being grown up, right? She is inspired to want the ring because she sees the wedding ring on that girl's finger. And then like she imagines it, and it's like, oh, I'll seem more grown up if I have like a ring. So it's partly that. It's also partly it's just like shiny and kind of expensive, and girls like rings and stuff. But also, EliteAri, did you think about the Great Midland Saga at all? And Anna, is that her name?
No, actually, no.
It's like your favorite part.
Name, but no, I didn't think about that at all.
Anne.
The more interesting thing about that was
ring.
the religious stuff. But yeah, the ring was true, was a big part of that.
I just thought about it briefly, and I remembered you liked that a lot, EliteAri.
It was very
that's why
good,
I wrote that down. Love and Pop's way better than shitty Vinland Saga. They're both nines if you round up. Very different. That's about growing up a little bit, I guess.
I mean, yeah, every story is, right? Yeah, you just what is the thing?
True.
You get up, you keep going, or whatever. Yeah, Guts, we love him.
Yeah, persistence and you loving your family or something. That's what all these dumb stories are about. Oh, and my next note here is impulse, EliteAri, impulse. I'm always talking about impulse recently, EliteAri, and that was like a thing where it's like you have to try to get the ring today, or you're gonna lose the impulse to get it. And I was like, true. It's pretty cool. I did like the math sum cut-ins and stuff as sort of like the pushing forward of the plot in this sort of like
the what? Say that again.
Very like where it popped up with the maths, the how much money we need.
Oh,
to
okay.
Get the
Yes.
ring, you're just talking about. Also, Ava has like the mid-episode cut-ins, and sometimes
that felt very Ava, where I was like, oh, I feel like I've seen cuts like this where it shows text or something.
Yeah, in Goodbye, Attack on Titan, Jockey Bacon did it for this is the last song, but pretty cool. But true, that was cool. Ava and actually being deep in comparison to Karanoki Yokai. I forgot to write this down. It's just about monologues. Photos as snapshots in time, something that can never be again, but also a memory removed from its context
clarify to me.
And tells its own story.
So she was like taking photos on the disposable camera, like there's like, I don't know if it's disposable, it was like a little film thing in it. And at the end she like throws it away or something, right?
Well, no, she like drops it on the ground and then because she's like frustrated.
I guess I didn't land.
I don't remember too much.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what's going on here. Why? Maybe I just missed how important the camera was to her or something.
Well,
So
it's like
yeah,
her memories of the last few days, and they've sort of
yeah,
led her astray. But then she sort of comes back to it, and then like I'm sure it floats up when like the CGI stuff comes
yeah,
in
it
and stuff
does.
like
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
I because Ritual has some stuff about this too, where it's like philosophizing about the image, but I just think it's really interesting to think about. It's not really stuff I haven't thought about before, but it is put in like a very fragmented. It's put in a more like linear thing than how things work in my brain because I'm always confusing myself. So I like appreciated that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but photos as a snapshot in time, that's pretty a generic overall thing. But something like talking about how it's like fake because it is just a snapshot in time is like misrepresentative of like what that moment would have actually been like, but you're going to remember the snapshot more because you actually took it out of time for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And like whenever you look at old photos, you do feel that of like, I don't remember it being like this because it really wasn't like this because this is just like one frame in reality of one particular
Mm-hmm.
point in time, and it can be like misleading in that. I think that's very interesting and thinking back in memory of that. And also,
You sound like the narrator.
apparently this is yeah, apparently this is like the most thematic thing of all time. But if you tie that into growing up, right, like all the women who have gone past this point vaguely remember this point, but when you're not in that point,
Mm-hmm.
this is a big thing in Ritual too, where it's like once you're removed from that, and I think you just every conflict you go through in life, is like this, where it's sort of like you don't make a heartbreak song or whatever, or a breakup song when you're in a relationship, because like the emotional, like when things are going bad, you have all this emotion to like power it into a story. And yeah, I've been writing some short stories recently, a little bit of EliteAri. I've
Mm-hmm.
been jotting some notes down and stuff like that. And part of me was like, I got happy for a little bit, and I was like, oh my god, I can never write that story now because like the like true emotion that I felt that would have powered that story is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry, EliteAri, I was sad right afterwards. So now we're in the headspace where we can write that again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that's a very interesting part of like the human condition, EliteAri. It's
Mm-hmm.
very interesting to capture that in a film and to have photos be sort of like this metaphor for that is very interesting. And being sad, don't you just sit around all day and think about being sad, EliteAri? But also, EliteAri, her taking photos is interesting. Both of these movies have very descriptively real things, and you already used that phrase, but I think you
Mm-hmm.
mean it, and I think I agree with you in what you probably mean then. But this is a very different descriptively real thing, where I dated a Chinese girl for a little bit in New Zealand, EliteAri, and so much of her mannerisms are in the main girl of both movies, and it's like it was really
Mm-hmm.
odd to me, and I've never noticed it in like other girls. Like
Mm-hmm.
she would carry like in like 2023 EliteAri, she would carry like a digital camera like that around
Oh wow.
everywhere. She was like a tourist in New Zealand, so she was like, and she like the way she would hold it was like exactly how the main girl in Love and Pop would hold it,
Mm-hmm.
and some things like the way she would speak is exactly like how the girl in Ritual would speak, which was really weird. So
Mm-hmm.
that's more later. But both of these movies like a bunch of little behavioral things reminded me of her, and I don't know, maybe all Asian women are the same, EliteAri. These aren't even the same fucking countries. So that was
Mm-hmm.
all weird. So from a descriptively real angle, there was something very eerie about both of these movies, from that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably more of a thing in Ritual, but I remember specifically the camera because I'd forgotten about the camera thing until you just brought it up.
Hmm.
But she does carry a camera everywhere. And she would take photos and stuff. Um,
Yep.
anyway, little personal tangent, I guess. Um, anything to say about any of that, EliteAri? I got a
Nope.
few more notes
I
here.
got no
Then we can talk about
impression.
your notes. I guess this is more of an interesting thing, EliteAri. Mr. Love and Pop, the name of the movie,
Oh
is a
yeah.
Michael Jackson reference to
Oh,
a Michael Jackson toy
I had no
that
idea.
is the toy that the creepy dude at the end has, but they would like censor it, and I couldn't tell if it was. Now I don't think it was censored for copyright reasons. I think it was censored because Lamau, we all know what it is, but I didn't know what it was, and you obviously didn't know what it
No.
was, and that would be a very 1998. We all know what this is, but like we don't now, EliteAri.
Yeah. I just thought it was like
Because
so grotesque that they didn't want to show us or something. I was like, oh, okay, that's like the joke
it
here.
is an ugly like thing, and I think famously Michael Jackson was made fun of because he would do creepy things like this, and he would
Mm,
also do creepy things with kids, right? But he would like
mm,
have stuffed animals that he would carry around even though he was like 45.
right.
Um, the because they make it explicit at one point towards the end, but it was like explicit and like not explicit enough of an explanation where I was like, oh, EliteAri doesn't get it. But Michael Jackson's nickname was like Pop something or Mr. Pop or whatever. I don't think it was Mr. Love and Pop specifically. So I think that part of the title was always supposed to be a reference to that. I also I don't think I totally get it.
I absolutely did not understand a single bit of it. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know why is this the name drop? Like, why I had no idea. And what was the thing's name? Was it fuckball? Was it shitball? I was like, I don't know what this thing is, but
no, it's just I think it's just like fur ball or something.
Why
that's
was
what
it
Michael
censored?
Jackson called his little thing.
Oh wait, was it just my subs?
No, it was censored and there was a little
okay.
bleep.
Yeah,
for me
okay.
too. How did you just watch this on YouTube? Because I know it's just on YouTube.
Yeah, I think except I had to get subs manually from some other place. But
No,
yeah.
that's not fun.
Mhm.
Because obviously with this one, it like looks grainy and stuff, so it wouldn't matter even if it was in like 480p or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's some shots where it gets high resolution. Ritual though, you got to watch that in 4K, EliteAri. My goodness, I wasn't watching it in 4K. That was like a 20 gigabyte download, EliteAri. So I just did like the 1080p one. But oh, it looked pretty, EliteAri. We're not up to that yet. But I don't entirely get it. I guess we haven't talked too much about the two guys at the end. There is stuff to say, I guess. The first guy was just like, it is again the line of like, is he just misunderstood and unfortunate, or is he like really creepy? And it kind of turns out that he's really creepy.
Yeah.
I do like the nuance where they do. It's not entirely a switch to him being a super evil guy, and like everything that that had slightly endeared you to him was now absent. It was like all a part of him. But yeah, it was like he was just using her to try and like win respect from the weird clerk who he clearly had like a one-sided rivalry with. And she's also in like the porn section. It's really uncomfortable because she shouldn't be in the porn section, and she's like, and that's like reinforcing that she's like a kid and stuff. And
and the camera's spinning around and spinning around. Like, this is sick. Oh my god.
Yeah. Anything to say about that guy, EliteAri?
I like the tick thing. That was kind of interesting. Whereas like
it was weirding me out, EliteAri. I didn't like it.
It did. It was annoying. It was like weird. It was annoying. I'm like, this is kind of cool. I like this. What else is there to say? I guess there was my experience watching this. I was a little frustrated because I'm like, man, you're like doing the thing he wanted and you're not getting paid. And then she got paid in the end. I was like, I guess she got paid and I just missed it.
Yeah, but she like ran away and didn't want to get paid, right? And then he had to track her down or something.
I don't know. I just assumed she like took the money somehow. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But do I have any thoughts on it? It was gross. It was like really gross when like the hand had the cum on it or whatever. I was like, I don't like this at all. Yeah. So I don't have any thoughts.
And she was just washing it with water, and it's like that's not really gonna work. And obviously the Lamau Shinji hand cum.
Oh yes, it did remind me of that. Yeah.
The Shinji moment is nowhere near as gross as this, though.
Not even. This was bad. I was like, oh, I don't.
The Shinji moment is overblown. All right, let's defend the great Shinji. We'll save that for a different time, EliteAri. Yeah. They were the same age, EliteAri. Let's start off with that one. But they knew each other, so maybe it was worse. Anyway, I also like that she had the phone and she was like going through a bunch of the messages. I guess the defining aspect of like Anno stuff and how it is similar, and if you disregard Gunbuster because it's not, is like the editing and like the rhythm of the editing. And I kind of talked about this in Lane, though it is different in Lane, but Lane has like this hypnotic sort of like editing sequencing style that I really liked. Anno does repetition a lot. It's more so in Ritual that the repetition is used. But when she's playing through like all the guys like trying to like hit her up or whatever, the ads on the phone or whatever when she's listening back, and that like the repetition of listening to them a few times, and like the second guy is there in the first time, and the second time she plays them through she does hear it, and then the third time when she picks up she does hear it again, and sort of like there's like a rhythm to how like she was listening through them, and like she was like swinging and stuff like that. I don't know, the editing there is very Anno to me, and I like it a lot. It's like very like audio visually stimulating.
Sure.
But I forgot about that.
I think the most maybe this is, I don't think this is the part you're talking about. No, it's definitely not. No, the part where I was like, oh, this is just like Evangelion or something I remember, and I was like, oh, it's very much his style. It feels like something in Gunbuster as well, is when she was talking in the phone booth, and then like the text of the person speaking was on the screen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it was like
that's a
brief
very
flashes.
Asian
It was like
thing.
really hard to read it as well in time. But yeah, that was kind of cool. Yeah.
Just pause it, EliteAri. True, imagine if you couldn't pause it. But yeah, like the black screen doing the text thing. That also happens in Lane, I guess. It's not a black
Yeah,
screen,
sure.
but and that's like a creepy pattern. But yeah, that's that's a Anno thing certainly. The possibility that the guy at the end was just trying to scare her into not doing this anymore, rather than actually being crazy, crazy evil guy. This was also from that Goat Jesus video I was talking about, where he was like, this great guy at the end was just like traumatizing her so she wouldn't do it again, and which was not my read at
Yeah,
all.
I did not
And
take
then there was
that.
like nobody. There was nobody in the comments like calling him out for being crazy, so I'm like, am I just retarded over here? But no, obviously they're retarded, EliteAri. I think that guy was just schizophrenic, right?
Well, he had a. It depends, because the line drop is from him, right? Like the name drop or whatever.
Yeah.
So he left like a. How did she get that letter again? Where was that? How,
I think he like goes in to scare her, like he's gonna rape her. Then he screams at her. Then he walks out. She stays in there.
yeah.
And he like writes a note for her, and then she leaves the money and then leaves.
Yeah, I think it's like kind of crazy. Yeah, I don't think I got anything where I'm like, oh, this was actually here's a grand plan to save this girl or anything. But I guess you could read either way.
No.
He doesn't like actually like use the taser or anything. I don't know. It's not. You could go either way, but
Yeah, he had a taser.
yeah.
Because it is another one, because it is kind of happening again, where it's like, well, this guy's like opening up, and it seems, and he's like, initially he seemed like they kind of have a cute thing where they like talk to each other from across the trainway, and then they point up and they meet up there, and it's like, this is like almost a rom-com bit. Um, and then it's like slowly devolves, and he's got like the stuffed animal, but like she's like oddly interested in the stuffed animal and stuff like that. And then she like fixes it, and there's like empathy there, and then obviously the empathy is like crushed and thrown back in her face. But then there's a bit of a twist at the end. Obviously she still feels really bad afterwards. Now he has like a monologue at the end, which I kind of took as like the thematic like heart of the movie, which was really odd for it to come from this guy, but obviously that was just like my thing where he's like, what did he say specifically? He was like you shouldn't be doing the. It was like a shame thing into like,
yeah. Well, there's like people out there who
prostitution being
like
bad.
think about you.
Yeah, there's somebody out there that's sad right now that you're here, and therefore you shouldn't like you should value that and then not do this. Which is like terrible moral messaging, I think.
I don't know. I have to think about it. I'm not sure.
Because the implication is, because I couldn't tell if it was a reference to her having a boyfriend, which obviously the boyfriend never shows up. So it was like an interesting detail to ever include. So is it like, man, the boyfriend would be upset if you were naked in front of somebody else, therefore like you have a responsibility to not make them upset by doing selfish actions that would lead you to this position, which seems terribly controlling.
No, that's not what I
bad.
thought.
There's also like the father angle, but like that is also weirdly controlling and misogynistic.
I just purely thought of it as like the parents' point of view, where it's like your parents, what would they think of you if they saw where you are right now because of the danger you put yourself in? And then that is what we see at the end of the movie, where it's like these parents have no idea of like what danger she was in, like only like a few hours ago. And that's like kind of the point, I think, where it's like, oh man, this like there are people who care about her. It is like a loving home. The parents are just nice people. That kind of landed for me, I would say.
Yeah, I guess that's like the charitable explanation, I guess, and I went for the more uncharitable one. I think I would have to rewatch the scene to have any more firm take. There is also because the torrent I did, EliteAri, had a bunch of the DVD extras, and there is a famous video on YouTube where it's like Hideaki Anno talks to prostitutes for 10 minutes or something on a phone, and it is a DVD extra from one of this where it's like framed as him doing like a research for this for the movie. It's like I only watched like 4 minutes of it before I went to sleep last night, but it was like legitimately hilarious. Like this Anno
Mm-hmm.
guy, he's he's chatting these girls up a leader. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, I just sleep on the floor in my futon or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, you should like not do that. That's like bad. You should like air out your futon every once in a while. And he's like, but he's like being gross, but he's also like
Mm-hmm.
they're like giggling the whole time. Now, obviously, these girls are probably trying to make you giggle and stuff like that, Illyria. But it was like the cutest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was a very interesting video. It is like it looks like it was filmed on like a terrible shitty cam in like 1985, and he's just there and he's talking to him. So
Mm-hmm.
that was pretty great. Um, I don't know why that sprung to mind, but that was very interesting. And I was watching that last night. Um, I'm coming up to my last few notes here. I have CGI, which we already talked about, model
Mm-hmm.
trains and swim meets, which we already talked
Sure.
about, and marching credits. The credit sequence is sick. I liked it a lot. They're all
Yeah, it was
marching,
cool.
growing up, marching on. The
Wait, they were
song was
growing up?
cool.
Oh no, wait, there was no like visually
Well,
they're not
no,
growing up or anything, right? It's just
no, no,
metaphorically.
no.
Okay, okay, all good.
They're marching towards womanhood in stride, EliteAri. They can take on the world, even if
Mm-hmm.
the world is a scary place like in the movie. We're ending on a high note.
True.
Um, and that's all of my notes, EliteAri. Love and Pop. What a cool movie. A little weird
Um,
towards the end. I don't know how I feel about it.
final note.
I will say,
Yeah, go
just
ahead.
quickly, because we were talking about rewatching stuff, and obviously, I sort of semi-rewatched Ritual in pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like part of the negativity surrounding Love and Pop for that minus half star for it not to be 5 stars. Is it like I never want to watch that last half of the movie really ever again? Like it's disturbing and
Mm-hmm.
bad, and it's not. It's like
Yeah.
part of it is like, should I register that this is like effective
Mm-hmm.
emotionality and like I should actually reward the movie for making me feel uncomfortable, like having me feel
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable there. Um, I don't know. I don't know. There's like things like the Eclipse where it's like, yeah, I don't really want to read that again, but I've read that like 20 times at this point. But
Mm-hmm.
should I just desensitize myself to it? But it's not like I'm like, yeah, great. And the great Eclipse chapters, I love them, even
Mm-hmm.
though there's like some seriously great thematic stuff and Griffith Visions and stuff around that. Like, once you cut back from that, and it's like Guts fighting the monsters, and then the chapter ends. It's like, well, I'm skipping 2 chapters ahead. I don't want to see what the next few chapters are later. My goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I guess that is a hang up against the movie, which is probably unfair. Um,
Hmm.
but it's something. Like I don't want to watch that hand job scene ever again.
Yeah, true. Yep. No, you know what? I would watch the bit where it's like the camera's orbiting around the thing. That was kind of cool. I like that. How much it was like just his walking around the whole like porn area. I was like, this is interesting.
Yeah.
I would not watch the rest of it though. No.
Your turn,
All
Alira.
right, my last note. It's crazy. This was the world in 1998. Crazy.
It is true.
It's just different. I mean, it's like kind of similar, but it's like, oh, there's like no phones or anything, and they have cameras, and I don't know, they just go around, and it was weird. I don't know. There's
They go
taxis,
around and
like,
do things.
yeah,
Taxis, true, yeah.
yep,
And taxis must have cost so much. And like, how do you know? Like, you
yeah,
don't know until it's
yeah.
done,
No,
and
it's
you gotta have like
crazy. Yeah,
cash on you.
yep,
Cash. What a miserable
yeah,
existence having cash would be.
yeah.
Um,
Weird world.
we love the modern day, Alira. We love
Absolutely.
AI, right?
We love AI. Yeah.
Okay. So we love the Great Love and Pop, even though I'm shitting on it and you're loving it. I gave it a higher score than you.
Yep.
So you're resulting on 4 stars, 3 stars. We'll find out in digest.
I suppose. Yeah, we will. When there's even
Four and a
more
half
time.
stars
Maybe
on
it'll go
level.
up to 5 in the next month. Who knows? Yeah, we'll see.
It's true. You got to do that rewatch. Now
Mm-hmm.
let's move on to Ritual EliteAri. So
Mm-hmm.
first of all, there's some insanely interesting background stuff on this,
Okay.
which I had no idea about, and you almost certainly had no
Yep.
idea about EliteAri. So there's like 5 people in this movie. There's the main girl, the main guy, the main girl's ex-boyfriend, I guess, slash maybe boyfriend of the sister. Was there actually a sister? Then there's the mother.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then there's like at one point the guy. Oh, well, I guess he's hanging out with a bunch of his friends at some point. On Letterboxd, if you go, there's like 7 credits.
Mm-hmm.
It's very short and stuff like that.
Yep.
So just that wasn't really part of the point that I'm trying to lead to. But
Okay.
the lead girl, EliteAri, Ayako Fujinami. Actually, this movie is adapted from a novel that she wrote about her life,
Oh wow.
and then
Okay.
she played the lead girl in this. Now the novel is very different because the novel doesn't have the male character in it at all. So it's
Mm-hmm.
I assume it's like her in the building going through a crisis or something. Now
Mm-hmm.
this girl, EliteAri, is the daughter of Steven Seagal, and
Oh, I
she
know
is
that guy. Yeah.
bilingual. She speaks complete English. There's an interview of her speaking complete English on YouTube
Mm-hmm.
talking about this movie. She's acted in a few other things, but not too much.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, she's a writer. Very interesting. Like she's like
Mm.
half white, half Japanese, which didn't really show up. She does look strikingly like a different girl, EliteAri, a girl that I didn't date. No flexing, EliteAri.
Okay.
Um, Visually, who I always thought was a Japanese, a Italian girl, but now I'm like, was she also part
Mm.
Japanese, part white? It was crazy. Like they facially look very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else about them was very different, but that was another very weird thing where I was watching these movies.
Mm-hmm.
Now, EliteAri, the main guy, this is his only ever acting credit. He is like a very famous Japanese director.
Oh wow.
Um,
Okay.
which is very interesting. Like he had like a bunch of his movies have like 4.4s on Letterboxd. I was like, my goodness. And some of them sounded pretty interesting, which is interesting. Now, obviously, the big thing to say about this movie is that he's like completely an Anno like insert character. Like he's a
Mm.
animation guy who wants to make live action movies, and he's in the middle of like this crisis where he's between two things. And Anno had just come off working in
Mm.
Karikano, and he like got kicked out of the production, and then he went to make a live action movie like the guy in the movie is making, and they look kind of similar, and they both seem to have similar philosophies and like about images and stuff.
Interesting.
I it's weird. Anno originally wanted to play himself in the movie or
Mm.
play that character in the movie. Obviously, the character's name isn't Anno or anything. The character
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have a distinct name. But then he didn't think he was like a good enough actor or whatever. Now I
Mm-hmm.
saw him talking to those prostitutes, Leary. This man's got charisma, so he should have
Mm.
done it. No, I like this main guy. So these are a bunch of really
Mm.
interesting, weird things. Uh, the girl being like the half daughter of Steven Seagal was like a crazy, like what a weird out of nowhere thing
Yeah,
when I
that's
was
very
reading her
strange.
fucking letterbox thing. Um, she like grew up in like California or something. Um,
Hmm.
and it was crazy. I tabbed over and I was listening to her speak English, and she was so very much this character in my head.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know. That's a thing a lot. Like when you're a kid and you like see the Harry Potter characters talking normal in the behind the scenes
Mm-hmm.
extras, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yep.
Lucius Malfoy's just a cool, funny dude. This is
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Voldemort is a guy.
Yep.
Anyway, um, he played a character in a movie called Conclave. Leary. We talked about it once.
True. And the menu.
Um,
And 28
true.
years later.
No, we don't like whatever those last two were. Anno is a self-insert, running away from animation, wanting to be more real, only to realize live action isn't real either. Anno finds his wife during this period, which is another thing people read into a lot.
Mm.
Anno loves his wife a lot. His wife is a mangaka. She has a whole manga about like their relationship or something that people
Mm-hmm.
read a lot. Hideaki Anno is terribly like overanalyzed on YouTube a lot of
I can
Leary.
imagine. Yeah.
It can be quite annoying. But yeah, so that's like a lot of fodder for that. Like, oh my god, did you see his wife's manga where he like really likes Ultraman and then he does the pose and then he falls over and hurts his back?
Mm-hmm.
Hilarious. That's just why Gendo was this way in End of Evangelion, and they read into things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah. So the director guy, and it was his only ever acting gig. So very interesting set of circumstances. Because in the interview I was watching, the lead girl here, Ayako, whatever her name is,
Mm-hmm.
she talks about this movie briefly and about how like they were very experimental when filming, and obviously like it's like her adaptation, so she was very involved in a lot of the process and like the set
Mm.
design, and it's a very like I don't know any of this going in, and it adds sort of an extra
Yeah, what a
dimension
strange
a little
movie.
bit. Yes, it is a strange movie, EliteAri. Might be the greatest movie of all time, though.
Mm.
I guess I want to hear you talk about it more
Okay.
first, I guess.
Okay. So this movie, now again, this is one that was a bit confusing to me. I was trying to figure out what's going on. I was also like pretty bored
Okay,
throughout parts of it.
that's a little
Yeah.
confusing to me because
Mm.
I feel like it's a little straightforward. I guess I don't know.
No,
Maybe not.
I think at the beginning where she's doing the ritual thing and she keeps saying it's her birthday or whatever, I was like trying to piece together like what's happening here. I was very confused. And the guy is like following
Oh,
her and I'm like, why is the guy following her? Like all that stuff was like very confusing to me. I think I get it by
because
the
they're in
end, but
love.
yeah, I guess, yeah, a bit. Yeah, that was very initially just at the get go. I was like, I don't know what's happening here. Why is she in this house? Like, why does she own this like giant building? Like, but she homeless. Like,
She's
I was
just
like,
squatting there, I
yeah,
think. It's like great.
yeah, exactly. And I was also a little bit like, oh, is this literal visuals, or like when she's in the bath, is that an actual place, or is that like we're just meant to imagine that's what like her room looks like or something? Like it was a bit of that where I'm like, I'm not quite sure what's happening. I think by the end I'm like, oh, this is all just like literal. We're just like putting a camera on the scene
Yeah.
or whatever. With the exception of the scene where she's singing on the rooftop or whatever. Um,
No, I
now,
thought that was literal too.
oh, it looked like she was on a stage or something. It looked weird. Like it was like this isn't like.
I thought she was just on the roof on like the middle part.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry. So my basically, besides being confused, quite early on, I don't know what the scene was. I wish I could. I know what happens. They're like on a. I think they're on a. Maybe not on a rooftop. No, I think they're like on the ground. Basically, there's a scene in this where she's like yelling. No, she's like happy, as she always is toward the beginning of this movie. And then she like kind of gets angry or upset for like a brief second. Then she like puts on the happy face again. She does that like a few times in the scene. And at that point, I'm like, oh, so this is someone who was like very clearly putting on an act right now. She is mentally destroyed about something, like clearly, I would say probably suicidal. And she's pretending to be happy. And at that point, I was like, this is like very like not relatable as it like I've ever experienced this, but I'm like, this is like real. I could imagine being in a situation like this. And that was kind of what I attached to the most. Where I'm like, this is a person who is struggling a lot, but they refuse to show it. And the ways they do show it are kind of like, it's like probably, it's like weird. And I was like, I like this. So that was my kind of main appeal of this movie, is her like just how depressed she was and how weird she showed it. I thought that was really cool. Yeah.
A few things. First of all, I got the first battery warning, which seems a little early, but so we can swap over the phone soon. Which one of these dot points do I want to do first? I think it all being strictly literal was like one of my favorite parts of the movie. I was not really confused.
Okay.
At any point, really. I guess it's probably maybe because I'd heard the conceit before. I think by far and away, the main appeal of this movie is the main girl. I think she is very fascinating in a sense. And I think it's very fascinating the way that like the main guy's internal monologue tries to strip her of like ambiguity and interest. Like it's almost like trying to cuck the narrative in a sense of being like, she's just delusional because she's like really depressed because something traumatic happened to her. And it's like that is obviously very true, but it's like missing part of the appeal. And I think she like immediately so like lovable in a sense. She's very like, I don't know, I don't want to say crazy. She's very like, because she's like very desperate. And again, it was reminding me of that girl I was talking about. Especially her like sort of schizophrenic emotionality. But when I say that, I really, and I think this could be a really, I don't want to say bad interpretation of the movie. I don't think she is like mentally ill. Which I think would probably be the reading of most people, especially like a modern day look at this movie.
Well, it depends what you mean. Like depression is mentally ill, right? What do you mean by like?
Well, no, I mean like she's like literally like, I don't know, schizophrenic. Like she's literally like
I would not
super
say that.
mentally ill.
I'd say she's very
like,
self-aware of exactly what's happening.
Like she's crazy and she needs help. She like obviously like part of the whole sort of point of the movie is helping her, I guess. But she's very much like a normal person. That's just a little wacky. Like her like little like her like art ho like aesthetic is like awesome. The fact like when you first go to that place, like this is like one of my favorite things in a movie ever. Like she just has like all the visual things. And it's interesting my like personal development and taste, because there was a period like 4 years ago, I want to say, where I'd like rewatched Ava for like the third time and decided it was like my favorite thing ever. And then I like rewatched Lane for like the second time. And then I was watching and I think Blonde was in there in this period where it was just like, it sort of became like my taste identity, I guess, to really like abstract stuff. And then I sort of got away from there, especially as I watched a bunch of stuff that was supposed to be like abstract and cool in that sense that I didn't really like as much. I can't really remember what it exactly was off the top of my head. Watching this movie was like, this is like the type of weird abstract stuff that I like really resonates with me and that I really like. Like the set design of that initial room where it is like the 4 red telephones and like her bed area. and then like the different like the framing. I think I tweeted half these images, like the framing of
Mm-hmm.
um the like it's like the poles like kind of in the middle, and then they're like on
Mm-hmm.
different sides, and there's different stuff hanging, and she's got all the wind chimes, and there's like the singular couch there. It's kind of like the aesthetic thing is like in Chainsaw Man when you go to hell and the bathtub is there and the
Yeah.
ants and the hand is there and the doors are on the ceiling. It's just like wacky stuff that is literally there. Um
Mm-hmm.
and that makes for interesting environments. I don't know. It's very like
Did you cut out, or are
in
you
this
thinking?
space.
Wait, no, you said it's very, and then you like cut out. I was like, what?
I think I said autistic in there somewhere. Did you get that
Oh,
part?
it must have got censored because of yeah. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, but what like I like being in this space would be very like cathartic and fascinating to me. You know how like when you go to like a modern history museum or whatever, how it's like all really white. Might just be in
Yeah.
Australia,
Sure.
but like they're all like super white and like they're like there's like the one color of wood and it's all like segmented out and it's like long ways with like elegant like stairs and stuff. Like this is like the greatest
Mm-hmm.
like vibe in the history of humanity or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they're like completely like this is very cluttered like appeal. Like every area, no, that's not true at all. That area and the basement, like the secret basement area, are
Mm-hmm.
very like visually stimulating things to me. Because there are other areas where it's just sort of like a messy area, which
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have like the same appeal. I don't know. It was very like the set design, I would say, is like one of the main like aesthetic. How did this start? What point was I trying to make? It's good, EliteAri. Good. Thumbs
Yeah.
up.
I remember
Stroke
having
my
a
brain.
thought when I was watching this and we saw there was a shot of this like room where she's like living or whatever. Not the room like downstairs with the bath, but like the thing you were talking about, the white room with the red furniture and stuff.
Yeah.
I saw it from outside and had like a glass like outdoor like wall kind of, and I was like, man, it'd be so cool to live here. Like, but then you can't live there because it's like a
Yeah.
glass wall and people would see in, but like it'd be kind of cool and yeah. It did look interesting. It also when you were talking about the description of visuals, the most I don't know why, but the thing I always think of is Madoka Magica. Kind of feels like that too. I don't know why. Where there's like scenes where it's
Hmm.
like there's like stuff in the background, like even like the school looks so strange and it's like a prison, but it's like a school and they don't really. It's just like there. But it's like interestingly designed. I don't know, stuff like that.
I didn't think about Madoka at all. I do
Mm-hmm.
remember the school because I remember them walking around on the top of the roof and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't know. When I think of Madoka, I think of like the weird witch things and stuff like that. That's a very different
True.
aesthetic sort of thing, I think. Um, at least in my brain. Um, I don't know. I don't think I've nailed home how like and again we're referencing the Honora discussion. Like I was so infatuated with Honora because I thought that performance was so great. It's
Mm-hmm.
very much similar here. I would say like the Honora performance is more like visceral. I think I do prefer this one where it is like very um internal, I guess, even though so much of it is external, like the weird outfits she would wear and stuff like that. Um
Mm-hmm.
and like how she would do her hair and stuff like that. It's just like I don't know, it feels very resonant in a way. Even though, yeah, it's like not a very relatable like type of depression to me at all. I'm not like my room is not aesthetic at all. It's
Mm-hmm.
like very cluttered not damp, not clamp. Small is what I'm trying to say, Leary.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Claustrophobic. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And even if I like had $1 million and I built a house, it wouldn't look like this. Um,
Mm. But you might
but
build
it's
a
like
set for
cool.
your YouTube channel and be like, I'm gonna have a look like this.
True. I'm just gonna go to that place, literally.
Yep.
Um, and invite that English speaking girl, and we can do an interview. That would be crazy. This
Yeah.
guy that interviewed her had like 800 subs, literally. It was crazy.
Well, there you go.
Um, true. Something that the sort of main outline of the movie to me, which is something maybe you didn't think because you haven't brought it up yet, was that like initially my impression was like, oh, so the movie is like a countdown to her killing herself, and it's going to be really sad because that's what the countdown was about. Because interstitially throughout the movie, constantly there's like 30 days to go, 28
Mm-hmm.
days to go. And like obviously she gets up on the roof and she's like well she's clearly like a little weird and possibly mentally ill and
Mm-hmm.
like she's very depressed obviously and like
Yep.
this movie has a very high review thingy on Letterboxd, so you know they probably like shitty depressing movies, and I'm like, oh, I really like I was like so desperate for it not to happen. And
Mm-hmm.
because it seems problematic to have him like love her and that save her in the end. I was like, oh, and they're not gonna do it, and for it to kind of resolve in like they do kind of work through it, and they are sort of like happy together. Possibly there is a post credit stinger which says like
Sure.
day 33 later unknown or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
um, which leaves you with a ooh, maybe they
Yep.
did drift apart or something. But even then, it's like she's sort of on the road to like um rekindling something with her mother, it seems. So even if he left her, which would be like a good thematic thing, that even if he left her, he's not all she has to live for, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
The tension for me the whole time, especially when it's like she like has periods where she's happy, then periods where she's mixed, and then periods where she's very like erratic and crazy and depressed. It's like, oh, this is all like the underlining, bubbling tension of like, I don't want this girl to kill herself. Um, and this is sort of like a journey to a happy ending. And I think that emotional resonance is like another very core reason why I like the movie so much, I guess.
Yeah, so I would say yes, I agree that that's what I thought was happening. Like the countdown is, yep, 30 days till she kills herself. For me, however, there was no investment in like, oh, I hope it doesn't happen. I hope like in 30 days, like it's actually something else, and like I don't want her to kill herself, or wasn't any of that. For me, the investment was more so like the process getting there of like, man, she's like really like depressed, and it's getting worse, and it's like even if she doesn't end up killing herself, like it doesn't matter. Just the process there is like depressing enough for me that I that's more so what I was invested in. Like if for instance, if the movie just ended and the big reveal, well, I guess the reveal was different, but if the big reveal at the end was like 30 days until she like just decides to move on and none of this ever mattered, and she was like playing a character or something the whole time, and I'd be like, oh, that's interesting. Like it's an interesting ending that she suddenly just got over it. Like the ending really doesn't matter to me that much. Whether she kills herself, whether she like reconnects with her mother, or like whether she just decides that it didn't even matter at all and she was being dramatic or whatever. Like, all I it doesn't really matter to me. Like I didn't get to the end of the movie and I was like, oh, this is like a good satisfying ending, or like, oh, I know I wish she killed herself. None of that really. It was none of the appeal for me, I guess. Like I don't know why the end point really didn't matter. Like the countdown wasn't.
Yeah.
It was just like her like the scene where she calls the person who is meant to be like the work person or whatever, and a girl picks up, and I'm like, oh, this is like really bad. Like I feel terrible for her in this situation, and this is gonna cause her to spiral more. I wasn't like, oh, this is gonna make her kill herself. I was like, oh, this is gonna make her depression even worse. I don't know, stuff like that. That was more the appeal. Less so the
Yeah.
destination.
I don't think it was like, oh, she's gonna like kill herself now or something. There is a moment where he looks over the side where it's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, sure.
The I think there was a twist that there was a point where I shifted where I was like, oh, the countdown is going to be like, and this was the last day I ever saw her, and it was going to be some sort of like unresolved, ambiguous ending, and I was very scared of that because that's way worse than her killing herself later.
Uh-huh.
The
Like the cat.
true. I think I don't know. I think I was just immediately in because their initial character interactions. I was like, oh, this is great. I just want to watch them like interact for the whole movie, and this will be like a 10 out of 10 immediately. Like when she's first on the train and she's like weird and cool, and then he like follows her around and he's like kind of nonchalant, and like she's like following him, and it's like, oh, she's like interested. This is interesting. Like I felt like a boring a setup would have been him like being like, this girl is just so interesting, let me go and point it, but like it shifts and like immediately, and because this, I don't know, this is very like another descriptively real thing where I'm like, that's kind of how relationships are, where initially you're like, pretty girl over there, let me see if I can interact with this one, and then they like, there's a shift where it seems like it's the other way around, and you like wish it was still like you want their attention, and then you have their attention so much that you're like, man, I wish I didn't have their attention anymore. And he sort of has a shift, like it's before she gets really depressed, where it seems like he's like kind of getting bored with her, and it's like it's obviously like the whole movie and their whole relationship is like a double meaning, where it's like, is he losing interest in her as like a subject for his like film or his thing, and also as a subject of this like relationship. And how they sort of intertwine. He has a whole monologue about how they intertwine. And all that stuff was really interesting, where it was like, oh, I don't know, again, it's the one girl I was talking about, where to make this point, I gotta like reveal details, I guess. But there was like a point where EliteAri, if you ever go on Tinder or Hinge, there's a lot of like exchange Chinese girls that go on there, and I don't know who tells them to do this because this seems extremely dangerous. Where it's like they go on these dating websites to look for like friends, but like male friends, obviously, unless they're doing like the bi thing, which I don't think they are doing. Where
That's a
it's
pretty
like,
common thing. The
I just
friend
want to be
thing.
friends. Let's just hang out. Yeah, but they're
Mm.
obviously going to get like date raped, EliteAri. This is a terrible idea.
Wait,
The
why would that be a terrible idea compared to like just if you put, oh, I'm
you're going to
interested
go
in
on a
dating?
like, especially if you're like, most dates start with girl gets in strange guy's car, EliteAri. Terrible things are going to happen.
But isn't this,
But
doesn't it just apply to all of Tinder then? Like, what's the difference between a friend
well,
and
yeah, kind of. But like, expressly if you're like, I guess it's like the Chinese aspect. If they don't speak a lot of English,
Oh, okay.
if they're going into this thinking they're just gonna like be friends and like some guy's creeping on them, it's like, oh, this is a very bad setup.
Mhm.
Um, so I
Okay.
matched with one of these people, and I was like in New Zealand initially, and I didn't have anything to do, so I was like, whatever, I'll just be friends, I guess. And there was very much we hung out a few times, and then there was very much a shift where I realized, oh, she doesn't want to just be friends. And
Oh.
there's like a shift where the attention is very different, and they're trying to do different things. And there's little descriptive things. These aren't specific to this example, but they do happen in the movie. Like when she starts hitting him a lot, it's like, oh, she
Mhm.
likes him and stuff like that. And like she's following him around a lot, and she's
Yeah.
messaging you a lot. And it's like everything is shifted now, and the attention is very different. So it's very much like and it very much sporadically goes from like when you're hanging out, they're like insecure that you don't like them, so they like start being mean a little bit, which she would do a lot in the movie. The big scene, which was what I thought you were almost going to bring up before when you were talking about a different scene, is the scene where she like finds the dirty mag and she's like coaxing him into admitting that he likes big boobs, obviously because
Wait.
she has small boobs
Wait.
and she wants to be insecure.
Is this toward the
Go ahead,
beginning?
Illyria. Yeah, towards the beginning.
Okay, this is the scene I was talking about where I said this is the scene where I'm like, this is the most depressing. Like, I can tell that she's putting on a character
Okay.
here. That was absolutely the scene. I was like, this is really good.
Yeah.
Um.
Okay, so we were thinking
Yeah.
about the same scene. But yeah, it's like clearly like admit that you don't like me. Admit that you don't like, and
Yeah.
girls will just do this to like try and get a reaction out of you so they can feel bad about themselves, so they can like
Mm.
I don't think it's like so they can use it as leverage. It's just like an emotional thing. Everybody does like this self-cucking behavior a lot where it's like, guys, my video just sucked. And then you just want them to say, oh, your video is so great. Karen, you're so smart.
very
You're
true.
like, oh, my video sucks.
Mhm.
It's kind of like that fishing thing where they really want you, because you're always going to fall for the trap where, like, I think the guy even says in the movie, he's like, what do you want me to say? Like, and then he, like, realizes what he's supposed to say, and he's like, oh, they're too big. And,
Mm.
like, she's, like, clearly fucking weak at them, and it's, like, clearly a terrible thing to say. Like, you should have just, like, immediately, for it to be believable, immediately when she showed you, you should have gone, yeah. Or something like that. But obviously you're not going to because she knows she's going to trap you and she's actually insecure because guys do like big boobs, etc., etc. There's like
Mhm.
little behavior things like this which are so like interesting and unique. And I think I don't know why this split is because I've already brought it up a bunch of times. This split of like she's not like mentally ill. She's just like
Mhm.
a girl, like normal girl behavior to the extreme.
Mhm.
And this is a very intentional split to me. I guess it's just because I want to be invested and happy for them in the end. And if she's actually like schizophrenic, then like he's like taking advantage of her and he really needs to go and put her in therapy.
Mhm.
Now, obviously, she probably would benefit from therapy anyway.
Mhm.
But I don't really think at any point you're supposed to think like he's taking advantage of her. Especially because they don't really explicitly have sex, I don't think at all in the movie.
Mhm.
And there is a very tense scene where they sort of breach that subject, and it's very uncomfortable and clearly out of desperation from her perspective.
Mhm.
That is interesting. Even then, now I'm thinking of like when the probable ex-boyfriend comes in and he's not like freaking out or insecure, and it feels very sort of interesting from a dynamic on that standpoint. What point was I making, Illyria? What are we talking about here?
Her being relatable
Descriptively
to,
real,
yeah.
something. I guess I forgot where we're going. But you did use descriptively real earlier, so I want to hear the descriptively real things you took out of the movie.
Well,
I
that
guess you
was,
talked about the depression stuff earlier.
yeah, that's what I
Um,
think is the most thing. No, it's not even that. It's the putting on a face of like craziness. Not even, it's not craziness cuz yeah, I guess think it is the craziness. I think it's like the putting on an act of like I I don't know. It is that scene with the magazine,
it's
and it's like
yeah.
she's clearly
Because she gets really
I
serious and it's through his camera, and so it's like the lower
yeah.
bit ratio, the aesthetic drives into it, and it is a really effective scene.
Mhm.
Affecting rather. Well, Leary,
you're descriptively really done. We just switched over, you know? The people, they can tell these things by the audio quality. At least I hope. Anyway, I make that joke every time. Where do we want to go from here, EliteAri? Do you have like distinct things apart from this you want to talk about?
Let me see what notes I have so far up to this point. So number one, immediately much higher quality camera, obviously. That was the note bit. Yep, very visually different style to 11 pop.
How did you watch this one?
This was on some, I think it was on the video, not the video, the web archive. What's that website? The archive thing or whatever?
Oh, so you watched it in shitty quality.
No, I watched it in very good quality.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
good.
but it was, I don't know why it's on that website. I don't know how that works. If it's like some official thing or if it's like some piracy thing, I have no idea.
I was watching Bugs Bunny shorts on that the other day.
Yeah,
so
interesting. Anyway, yeah, I watched it there. What else is there? Oh, there's also a, this is like, there's a, what was it? Like the guy is like building a racetrack thing for his car, or someone's building that. I don't know what was exactly going on there. It was like this little car, like racetrack.
It's thing, like the train thing.
Exactly, which is like the train set. Yeah, it was like, oh my god, is this like a theme?
Anno likes trains and stuff.
Yeah, I guess. So yeah, the philosophical narration in the movie, and then I put a bunch of Zs because I was like falling asleep already.
No, it's so great.
The paper. Oh, we haven't talked about this. I don't know if we've got to yet, but the paper woman, like the mum, I think the visuals of her like being drawn. And
oh yeah, that's
like that was a really cool like visual thing. Yeah, I like that a lot. But now
Hideaki Anno can draw really well, EliteAri. Did you know that? He might not have done it. I have no idea.
I was gonna say like okay, maybe. I have when I was going through the actual philosophical dialogue or whatever, there was one bit I actually liked and I quoted it. Now I wrote this as I didn't want to pause.
I wonder if I got this one written down.
I was on a strict timeline here because I was like, oh my god, I'm already late. I can't pause when I write this down. So I wrote it down, but it could all just be wrong in the way that I like wrote it. But let's see if we got the same thing. There's no way it's the same scene. This is like the most like specific thing ever. But the line I wrote down is, I'm fed up with the needless yesterday and lulled by today's, anxious too that tomorrow may bring change, yet eagerly awaiting the change it may finally bring. What do I want from this reality I share with her? The constancy of the past or the change of the future. However, these were no more than idle doubts that shifted with my moods. I was like, wow, what a relatable, cool thing.
I didn't write that one down, but I do remember this. This is, I think, in the train sequence, right? Where the trainers, they're shooting out the back of the train.
Oh god, I don't remember. Maybe.
But true, it was cool. Like the switching with like, I liked a lot of the philosophizing whatever in this movie, because I think a lot of it is sort of about the creative process and mood, and I think that's really interesting. Because and this is kind of like the whole underpinning of it, I guess, where it's like, and I sort of brought this up earlier, I think, where it's like you don't want to make the heartbreak song when you're in a happy relationship, like the emotions aren't there. Of like, this is how like everything works, where. I was actually thinking about this today, but it's like a Sopranos comparison that I don't want to do. The when you feel like you only are sad about something when you think about it, and like people always say this in life is like the best, like a good way to like not be sad is to just be busy constantly because you won't think about it. And we sort of intuitively understand this with like time, where like at work, if you are doing nothing, and like I find this like. I constantly have to be moving at work or I want to kill myself because you'll just check your phone often and it'll be like 5 minutes have passed. Whereas if you just do something, like 2 hours will pass in like a split second. That's why I hate standing around talking at work because you're like, Jesus, fucking
or if you're watching a movie and you don't understand what's happening and you're like, oh my god,
and you check the timeline,
and, then you understand it and then it's going past so quickly and like, oh my goodness.
True. I would never say that about these great movies, EliteAri, but I constantly am bored by most of the things I watch and checking the timeline. It's terrible behavior. And obviously, even in our silly like how I divvy up my time in real life, where it's like, well, it's already 10 o'clock, so like I could work on the video, but I only have like an hour and a half. And if I want to work on the video, I want to trick myself into thinking I'm going to work on it for hours. So I want to start at 2 p.m. So I'm not even going to start it now. And it's sort of like you think about time too much, it like fucks up your like sense of actually doing anything or productivity and stuff like that. So I don't know. I part of this and a lot of this, because a lot of this is read as like Anno's like internal dialogue, bro, and this is how he views the creative process or whatever, which whether it is or isn't doesn't matter. But the former Digibro leader, the former Digibro. I was like, am I saying the right? Which order am I going this? Trixie the Golden Witch, of course, everybody's favorite YouTuber, would constantly do this Anno psychoanalysis in a lot of her videos. And I just like took it as gospel back then because I was a big fan, right? And then as I've gotten increasingly away from it, as I've like consumed a lot more of Anno's stuff. And this is the only thing I've ever watched of his where I was like, everything that Trixie said was like right. But the funny thing is, I went back and watched an old Trixie video, and she talked about how she had never seen this movie before.
Oh my God.
So it was like crazy. Like, I assume maybe like he's said similar things in interviews I just haven't seen. But like, the train thing is a big thing that a lot of people make fun of him for being autistic or whatever. Obviously, the autism thing was a big Trixie thing back in the day where she would say like everything is autistic. She was autistic. Anybody that likes anime is obviously autistic. Anybody that makes anime is obviously autistic, etc., etc. Autism was just like the catch-all word for like anything cool. And really the only time this has really come across, I think, is in this movie where it is talking about all these, and a lot of on top of all this autism stuff was a lot of philosophizing about sort of like how images work and how Anno views himself as somebody who can only communicate in images, and that like, and obviously that's projected onto Shinji a lot, where Shinji doesn't have a lot of relationships and he can never actually express his feelings or anything like that, and just sort of says yes to everything and goes on. It's like, this is the only time I've ever heard like explicit Anno characters talking about this, which is just a wacky experience for like my like made up philosophy I believed in from like 2018 coming back to me in this movie. In that point, I do still think like all that stuff is broadly interesting and thinking of like images as a concept. I remember we talked about this with photos earlier, but there are a bunch of other ones just like this one where it's like mood into reality, into like taking your past or your reality and making it fiction. And this is like the big thematic thing for the whole movie is like, he says that he is trying to get away from fiction by like experiencing reality, and like she's doing the opposite where she's living in a fiction, like running away from reality. So they're like going opposite directions or whatever, and they sort of are helping each other. Hopefully both sort of be happy and what do you call it, redeem themselves away from fiction and away from reality or whatever into whatever reality is. I think it is also interesting of like stories as like obviously you put a lot of yourself into stories, right? Or almost like that's all a story can be or whatever. It's like your fiction, it has to come out of you. But I've like putting your experiences into a story can like immortalize them, but they're always not true. It's just like the photo thing of like, that's just a frame and a, like if you put an emotion that you felt during a breakup into even just the tone of something, even if it's not as explicit as a character's breakup in a story, it is going to be like a bastardization of reality, obviously, because you're just one perspective on reality, but also it's going to be a bastardization of your perspective of reality because it's going to be a little different, plus time has changed and etc., etc. And I think a lot of the like thinking about that the character does out loud in the movie, I don't know, it is like the, obviously if you don't think this is interesting, it's just going to be boring and EliteAri can write his little Z's, but it is like, because again, I was thinking of the Karanokyo Kai thing of this is just like, I do not care about Shiki's internal whatever. But I do like deep, like this is like the only thing I think about all day, right? Is this dumb fiction shit. So this is like the most interesting thing. And for like a story, it is, I don't know, it is kind of like the Chainsaw Man thing where it's like, I'm very invested in the like the surface level stuff, but like the meta stuff is like equally, if not more interesting to me. And I think this movie is similar where it's like, I'm really invested in like their literal relationship, but I'm also very invested in this like meta, like what, like this character exploring what fiction is, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's all very interesting. What a bunch of nonsense, huh?
True.
Sure.
That's all I have to say. Yeah, I think it's interesting.
You just thought it was boring, except for that one cool part that you read out.
That is true, but I also do remember the scene you're talking about with the monologue about reality and if you insert something in a story, and I do remember that. No, I wasn't bored by that. I was paying attention to that bit.
Well, EliteAri, I have the whole thing written out. You want to hear it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe. I have a few written out, but the other ones are disconnected and about different things, I think. Images, especially animation, because remember he did anime right before this or whatever, simply embody our personal and collective fantasies, manipulating selective information and fictional constructs. Even live-action film recording actuality does not correspond to reality. Conversely, reality co-opted by fiction loses its value, which is obviously just a him being depressed that it's just got different value. Anno, get over yourself. The inversion of reality in fiction. None of this matters to me anymore. My consciousness, my reality, my subject all converging in her, which is obviously interesting and so romantic. Certainly, she longs to escape into a fantasy. Certainly, I long to escape from fantasy. This was the thing I was just talking about. I want to keep a visual record of these contradictory phenomena. Now, this is also something I talk about all the time, which I don't even think was originally like a big tricksy thing. But a lot of the time, and a lot of the me talking about even outside of fictional stuff, a lot of it is like having two very contradictory like emotions and like trying to not correspond with that, but not resonate with that. Figure that shit out, EliteAri is like interesting. It is like resolve maybe, EliteAri. You're a genius. That's like the most interesting thing about like life and like fictional characters and stuff like that. So it was interesting to see that also in here. But my behavior really is no more than an excuse for my inability to communicate except for through images, which we also kind of just talked about. Which is interesting because I feel like a lot of the time the male lead can come off as sort of like I don't want to say a non-character because he certainly has like a personality, but very like bland, I guess. But he does little things that stop him from being that, I think, and him. I really think that his monologues here of him trying to like reason out the situation adds a whole different layer to like an interpretation because it really does feel like it's like an interesting little narrative device to like cuck the interesting part of the story by like trying to explain the girl in like very almost dismissive terms like a somebody that doesn't like the movie would do, but for you to like recognize that it's like not true and to like resonate with her, but also you're sort of like embodied through the male lead because you sort of want to help her and like you are sort of like him like enamored with this girl and like what is going on here and very interested. I don't know, it sort of it like heightens that interest or whatever. It's a very interesting like it would seem like something you wouldn't want to do in your story, but the fact that it is here is very it makes you reevaluate some things or whatever. I don't know. True. You want to hear my other two little notes, EliteAri, because they're only one-liners, right? So my other two little quotes I've written down.
All right.
I can't read, so well, I can't read while I talk, so I'm about to find out what they are. This is like a Chainsaw Man chapter. Not that there is any truth in the ambiguity of human. Who is here?
Bacon.
Bacon.
I love Chainsaw Man chapter 210.
Chainsaw Man sucks. We're not talking about Chainsaw Man, Jockey Bacon. We're talking about Hideaki Anno's live-action movie Love and Pop and Ritual.
Yep.
Oh.
What do you think about Ritual?
Recording?
What do you give it out of 5? We are recording, yeah.
For reals, we're recording.
Ritual. Well, Hideaki Anno.
Bacon loves that guy.
He what a guy. He did the cut that was in Nausicaa, which was the bomb.
Oh wow!
He can draw. True.
It was really that was actually probably one of the coolest.
Wait, he like animated it or directed it?
He animated it.
Oh my god! I didn't know it was an actual animator. That's crazy.
Yes, EliteAri. Do you know nothing?
No, I don't know anything.
What else do I think about him?
You love Evangelion? Let us know.
I'm ready to get my opinion changed. Not really, but yeah, sure.
Lovely.
And so this is his live action film that he's done.
Yes, he's done a bunch of them, but these are 2 of them.
Oh, really? Has he done them more recently, or?
Love and Pop, the great first movie we've finished discussing, Jockey Bacon, that would be 1998, right after End of Eva. And this one we're currently discussing was 2000. Though he also did one in 2004 and one in 2016, Shin Godzilla, remember that one? And then he executive produced one in 2022,
I didn't know about
Shin Kamen Rider.
I didn't know the Shin Godzilla.
These predate those ones.
Okay, I'm going to put this in the collab channel so you can see this amazing cut of animation it did. I don't know if he did the whole thing, but he definitely did the bomb part.
We're linking the Nazca thing. that I have seen, even though I've never seen Nazca. So we're letting EliteAri look at it right now.
I am. It's 2
We're not
minutes.
putting it in the video.
Uh-huh. I am watching.
No. This is important to understand his directorial ambitions.
I mean, that's true.
It's true.
It's just a lot of effort to put in. We'll see. Wow. Do you want me to react to it? Wow. There's I don't know what part is he animating? It's like a whole scene. Oh wait.
The whole thing.
Oh, the whole thing.
The bomb
Jesus.
for sure.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's like a big nuke or something.
At least he was the key animator.
Oh, sweet.
So he might have done it. Not
This is very
everything from scratch,
Gunbuster,
but this
it's like
guy.
Alien
All
and
I'm
stuff.
saying is that this guy's got chops.
Wow.
And I'm not
Live
talking
action
about
shots.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the barbecue kind.
Mm.
Whoa,
Good job,
bacon
Bacon.
joke.
Oh, and
Nice.
your name.
Thank you,
It all
everybody.
ties in. Oh my god.
It all makes sense. Anyway, have fun listening to this thing when clearly Ari's going to be releasing a video about Vinland Saga soon.
Oh,
It's
don't
the
get
same
don't
thing.
get too
True.
excited. All right.
It's actually a Vinland Saga video, though.
I can confirm it is not a Vinland Saga video.
Ah!
But don't
What's
worry.
even the point?
Maybe I will.
What's even the point?
I think I'm gonna try and make a lot more videos. So maybe Vinland Saga will be the next one after this. We'll see.
Well, you know,
Who's not
he
making
promised
anything?
a Vinland Saga video
Like 3 years ago. Yeah.
3 years ago.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, I'm trying to
mean-
get a video done, which I promised 4 years ago. So
I have a script. Okay,
Yeah,
half a script for Vinland. We'll see.
I'm derailing. I'm annoying
Yes.
everybody who actually wanted to listen to you
Poor
guys yak
Sealer
about this
Field.
film. I
Poor
don't know,
Silo.
CeeLo
Well-
would have been. He would like to listen to my voice, I think. Well, they.
It's
I don't know.
potentially
Says they,
true.
right?
I have
No,
idea.
I don't know. I think Silo Pilot is just a traditional he/him. I'm not sure.
Traditional he/him.
Yeah, you know,
Interesting way
that's
of
how
putting
we
that.
that's how we do it in the real.
Very
I'm
heteronormative
trying to
of
be-
you.
I'm trying to be heteronormative here.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
We don't like thems. Oh, got him.
No. Them is good because you can use it for. Oh, you don't like they. There you go.
Oh,
What?
EliteAri, should we do a pronouns check?
On what? Oh, like at the
You.
beginning of every record. I mean, my name is Ari. I'm a he, him. I don't know. What do you want me to say?
True.
I'm a he/him. Like
Oh,
that's
sorry.
your, your
My
Pokemon
pronouns
type.
are he, him.
Hello, I'm he/him type.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Everybody can assume my pronouns. I give you permission to do
Oh
so.
wow.
Wow.
See, I'm bold like that.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jockey Bacon, you got anything else to say about Ritual?
What a fantastic movie.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
I hope everybody enjoyed watching it as much.
5 out of
as
5,
I
I'd
have
say.
not. Yeah. Nice.
All
I
right.
love you all. Kisses.
Everybody say goodbye to Jockey Bacon.
Oh.
There
There
he
he goes.
goes. I wonder if that's staying in. What do you think, EliteAri?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, if you've made it this
It's
far, you
relatable.
like Jockey Bacon enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, I read out a quote, EliteAri. Did you like it?
Read the end of it again. What was it?
Not that there is any truth in the ambiguity of human memory. True. It's like a picture.
Yes, true. Yes. Wait, no.
My last
No, I don't. Wait,
quote.
what? Say the quote again. This is one of the ones that
Not
went
that
over
there
my
is
head.
any truth in the ambiguity of human memory.
Oh, okay, true. Yeah.
Because
Okay.
you remember something, it's wrong.
Yep.
Images turn. This is my last quote, literally. Images turn my real past into fiction. True. We already talked about that though.
Yep.
The therapy of creating or of talking. True, EliteAri. Sometimes you just got to talk about something like Ritual and Love and Pop, so you can move on with your life and do other things. But
Yep.
then somebody delays it a week, and you just
Couple weeks.
it's just unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, true. Those are all the
Oh,
quotes.
do you want me to
and
read
stuff.
my quotes?
Yes.
We have one, which was, I was like, wow, this is so sad. When he answers he gets a phone call and he doesn't answer, and she's like, someday that will happen to me. And I'm like, man, that's
True.
sad. Yeah.
She's farming. Just tell me you're going to abandon me. Girls be
Yep.
doing that, EliteAri.
Yep.
It's crazy.
It was very sad. And then this was so real. I've definitely done this, especially in high school. Now, maybe after that, I don't remember. It's certainly possible. But there's a scene where she's like having a mental breakdown and she's like, he hates me, he hates me. And I'm like, I have absolutely done that. And then she's like, I'll be left alone again. They left me. And I'm like, I've done this in my life. I've talked to myself and said this. So I was like, this is very real here. Yep, that's all my quotes.
It's funny that I've never had that depression.
Mm-hmm.
It is,
last year of high school. My goodness, a lot of this was very relatable to that. It was a long time ago
but
for me though.
I don't know. I
Mm.
really am just like female pilled. Like if a bunch of guys I knew started to hate me, I'd be like, great, don't have to deal with them anymore. Kill yourself.
Mm.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because it is in a lot of things where it's like freaking out that somebody could like hate you. Like I am scared of the awkwardness of somebody confronting you because they hate you, but I'm not like I don't care about the hate part at all.
Yeah.
But I am very
Okay,
averse to like
no.
cringe things.
I guess to clarify, in this case, the he hates me thing, I think I experience it the exact same way she does, which is that, like, for instance, in my case, the girl I liked or whatever, it'd be in that case where it's like, oh, he hates me. In this case, what she's saying is that, like, she doesn't believe in her own, like, she's reading into his,
Yeah, like
perspective or whatever. Like, he hates me.
is
Obviously,
it
that's what's
like a
happening.
he's gonna leave me fear? Because that's definitely more relatable than the
Kind
like.
of, yeah.
I
think
don't know.
the reading I'm getting here, where it's like, I'll be left alone again, they left me. Like, it all ties in. I think there's just like a complete, like,
Yeah.
I have no value, like, there's no one could ever love me, like, stuff like that is what I'm reading here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's more relatable. I don't know. It's the, I don't know, maybe it's just the method of it. I don't know. The, because there is a, like, she does have some freak out scenes that are, like, I think are really cool. Now, this is another thing I talk about, and this is more directly Sopranos Australia, where I'm always like, it's such a visceral performance or whatever, and I really like that. And I did talk about that in the Anno discussion too, where she would just go off and start squaring at people or start breaking shit, and I'm like, this is the greatest thing of all time. Her freaking out is another aspect like that. There's obviously the one where she like dunks her head into like the dirty water or something, and then he has to wash her afterwards, which is really cute. And she has a bunch of freakouts in the basement and stuff, and she's in the like the tub and stuff, and whenever it rains and stuff like that, and she like starts burning stuff, and then she's like, oh, the rain is like representative because it's when my father and sister left or whatever, and they died or something. And but she also says her mother is dead, but the mother isn't dead. And it's like, how much of this is true? Is there actually a sister? I don't know. There's also a weird man that shows up at some point that she gets really scared by. That might be the father, or that was the only thing where I was like, is this literally happening? But the implication is almost certainly that it was.
Yeah. It was
and
kind
is
of
that
crazy
just the
to
father,
me.
Or?
Yeah, because we see that guy, and I'm like, okay, so there's a guy there. He like doesn't say anything a bit weird. Then later on, we get the same kind of scene where the guy on the bike shows up with the eye patch, and I'm like, oh, it's the same thing happening here. But no, he like interacts with her and like chases her, and I'm like, whoa, okay, it's like very different.
So do you think he dated the sister? Do you think the sister exists, or she's just the sister and it was a weird performance thing she was doing? Because it seemed like she was staying with him, which could be the case if like your girlfriend's little sister that's like fucked up like needs somewhere to stay, so you let her stay with you because she died tragically.
My reading
but she also
be...
performatively becomes the sister at some point
to
like exposit to the guy, which is like a great little like meta thing that I really enjoyed.
It was a little confusing.
But
the
for a second you're like, oh my god, the sister did actually show up, and this is gonna be. But then you're like, oh.
Yeah, so the whole time at the end, that's definitely her, right? Like, there's no question of that.
Yeah, because he even has a monologue where he's like, she's like so far in her depravity that she's like even lost her sense of self or whatever, and she's pretending to be her sister.
Yeah, so I think that the whole time that's her, and also in the flashback with the boyfriend, that's her. However, the mum does at the end talk about how like your sister's alive and she's like doing this, and
that's true.
You could interpret that as like she's mentally talking about this mentally deranged like woman who has like schizophrenia, and there's like another personality that is her sister or something. But I do think it is just the mum is like, yeah, your sister's out there, your family is like good. She like, yeah, we're estranged or whatever, but she still is out there. I don't know. I read it as that, like she does have a sister.
It is interesting that there doesn't seem to be a pinpoint like traumatic moment. It's just like she, like it's sort of neglect, but it's also like it is like the hyper. What do you call it? Like the inflated version of the other things where she's like farming negative reactions. Where it's like, well, you like the big boobs, so I'm not good enough, so I'm gonna run away or whatever. It's like you don't pay enough attention to me. You're only giving my sister's old things, so fuck you. I'm gonna run away. And then when you get like the extreme emotion from the other side, it's not really cathartic. Like when she plays all the messages of her mother calling her and freaking out at the very beginning, which was really cool.
It is a very sobering moment at the end where the mother sits down. She's like this quiet, like old woman, and I'm
Yes.
like, oh wow, this is not at all.
And she
what I was
doesn't even look that
expecting.
old. That was
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
something
Yeah,
I noticed,
yeah.
but-
She's not that old.
And she's not like, I don't know. Again, it's like I don't know. It's like more personal implications here, but it's like she shows up and she's like skinny, and I'm like, oh, now this is something funny we used to always say all the time at Leader.
Oh my
Imagine
God.
having a skinny mom.
Mhm.
I've forgotten about that bit. Was that a bit that started with you or with my girlfriend, Alita?
No, it
literally
was
can't
me.
remember
It was
anymore.
like it was many years ago. I don't even remember what it was for, but it was like some like.
No, I think because I have a memory of watching. No, because I feel like Rhaenyra was the originator.
I feel like this was like. It might be, but I was also thinking like Mushoku Tensei, like when it's talking about Zenith or something. I don't even know.
Or maybe in like season 3 or something. I don't know if we need to talk about our bit here.
Yeah, sure.
What context would that have come? I don't know. Anyway, the yes, the mother showing up on screen, especially when the implicate like you obviously have a vision in your head from the phone calls and from like the trauma or something. But she's like very apologetic, but she's also like she's similarly like it's another thing where it's like they're sort of going through the same thing clearly, but they're like hurting each other, which I feel like is another very relatable thing where it's like, especially in relationships, like even like more romantic ones, it's like you're both in the situation, you both realize it like it really sucks right now, but you sort of can't get over like the petty, like, no, you started this by fucking up this way. And until you admit that you fucked up and like apologize and stuff, and even then I'm still not like it's just like a weird little mishmash of even like apologizing is sort of admitting like lying a little bit by admitting that you think you did something wrong when you don't actually think it, but you just want the outcome of like moving on. But then nothing gets resolved and it just like spirals.
Yeah.
It's like such an interesting like little scene. Apparently that whole I don't remember if this was in the interview or if this was in one of the videos I watched, but they say like that whole last scene is like completely improvised or something, which is interesting.
Well,
I guess
it seemed to be all one shot. Like unless I forgot,
it was.
Yeah.
I really did like the guy, him being like sort of an impartial
that was
viewer
really
a
cool.
lot.
Yeah,
is interesting. It's interesting in that scene. It's also interesting in the ex-boyfriend
scene,
slash
yeah.
sister's boyfriend scene. Because that is a great thing where she's always in the frame and the way she's freaking out and like her makeup and all that stuff, and she looks so different if she's in like the pantsuit. It's really interesting. And he's like freaking out around her, and he's got the eye patch and he looks like a character from like Old Boy or something.
Wonder what happened to his eye.
And like true, she scooped it out or something. She's crazy.
Give it back.
Because there is a weird thing where she's like, oh, and then you started saying you killed your sister, and I was like, oh no, are you gonna do some twist where she's like gonna kill somebody or something? Obviously that didn't happen. That was nice. But yeah, like you could have written the character to be like jealous of this other guy or something, which was never the case, and sort of this impartiality was very interesting. And good. I liked it. What a great movie.
It was very cool where he's like, it is on the scene with the ex-boyfriend, and he's like, he actually does walk away, and he's like in the distance, and he waits like a bit too long to kind of intervene and like stop the fighting. And I'm like, yeah, he's like really,
yes,
yeah. It was kind of cool.
It's like, is it going to be physical? Because in the flashback in like his room, it like almost gets a little physical, and it's like, you should probably jump in if that's the case. But yeah, well, the greatest movie of all time, O'Leary, admit it.
It was pretty good.
No, you said 3 out of 5, which is probably the worst score anything could ever get. I think the rest of my notes are sort of like little miscellaneous moments.
All right, I have a miscellaneous moment I want to ask about. Who the hell was the man in the wall when they like knocked the wall down? There's like a million pictures of this guy. What was that? I had no idea. Oh yeah, that was
interesting. I couldn't tell if that was supposed to be like the dad or something. Like it was the guy.
Was that the guy got out of the car?
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not certain.
Yeah, that was a bit. I was like, I have no idea what's happening here.
That was interesting. I loved their little like enclosed bed, which was I don't know. I really like that visual metaphor of like when you're like cuddling with somebody, it does feel like you're like the only people. Like obviously it feels very close, and like it feels like you're like the only people in the world. So to like be like closed off is like really cool. That was a really nice visual thing. I feel like they're cuddling on the couch, and that was a really nice visual or something. Obviously they're drawing like the train tracks and stuff, and they're like them just having. There was other great descriptively real like date things too, O'Leary, where they're like going on like a date to like the zoo or something. I can't remember if it was the zoo or something, and they're just on like trains and stuff. And it's like
Because I was just trying to kill
before
herself in the car, like throw herself in front of cars and stuff. I'm like, Jesus.
Oh yes. Oh, that's just like another extension of the like, you don't care about me, you're just gonna let me kill myself. And it's like a little, it's like, oh, it's all like an extension of that little thing. But that was so funny. It was like raining, and she's like, you just gotta grab her. And pull it.
Yep.
What a great character she is, EliteAri. But the little date things, because I remember I'd always watch movies or hear people talk about things where like, and then we went to the zoo, and I'd be like, oh, how boring going to the zoo. Like, I want to kill myself. Or like going to the movies all the time. Boring. And just like literally like sitting in the car doing nothing. It's just like when you're in the date activities, like everything is great because it's not actually about the activities, and it's just about like the vibe of the situation. And they were clearly like in that, and it was like great when they're just hanging out and going places when everything's going well. It's like, man, I wish we were still in that period earlier, you know, maybe we wouldn't be so sad. We're just in the later period. There's a bunch of other stuff like that. I'm trying to think of, I had some other examples besides the thingy. Like they're just riding the train and having fun, where it's like, oh, I would be miserable. Just, it's like sometimes you just want to go out and do vague things so you have like something to talk about. It's an interesting little like dating psychology thing or something. I don't know. The psychology of being on a date, not dating psychology. You understand, I
understand.
There was something else. There's something. There was other like little great scenes where like for the first time he's like filming her and she's like in her weird outfit, and then she just like runs away, and it's like so cute. There's other things where she's like, she's not going to sleep, and she's like, and obviously the constant, the cutest line of all time, what's the tomorrow's my birthday thing is like, oh my goodness. And then there's the one sequence where it's like the Lane Ava sequence where it's like repeated, and it's like every time it's been said in the movie in quick succession.
Cool. I like that.
Yeah. It is interesting, EliteAri. You got to get used to that, and you got to get used to these philosophical monologues if you're going to enjoy the great Evangelion. So I'm glad we did this first, so you aren't going to be so depressed later when it happens. Okay.
Girl, there's like two things I hate. It's monologues, and it's whenever there's a poem in like a story, and I have to like understand the poem, and I'm like, I don't want to understand this thing. Oh my god.
Ava doesn't have that. It explains the hedgehog's dilemma. I guess in Ava the monologues are more like, why am I depressed? It's like character self-analysis, which I think you might like more. Who knows? Maybe you'll hate Evangelion. Maybe I should just make peace with that. But it looks so visually cool, so EliteAri's gonna love it. Anyway, the other little descriptively real things, I guess, is what we were talking about. But I lost my train of thought, and I'm gonna hope they're in my notes for later. True. Was that, you said you had a thing? Was that your thing?
Mine was about the guy with the wolves.
True.
I was like, what is that? I only have one more note in my notes, which is that the shot of we talked about this somewhat, but the shot where it's the mother, the guy, and the daughter, and they're like all sitting there, and it's like a one really long shot. It's a really cool framing with like the guy in the middle representing us, you know, the audience. It was like really cool. Just the fact that like how far apart the mother and the daughter was, and you can't really look at both at the same time. At least I couldn't on my giant monitor, I guess. And I'm like, I'm looking to the right, and I'm like, who do I look at? I want to see their reactions, like who's saying what, and it was really cool. I liked it.
Yeah, it was sick. It was the best. There's also obviously a visual thing, and you reminded me because you're talking about that scene where it's like she sort of peaks in like weird looking, and then sort of becomes more normal looking towards the end. And it's sort of like a little representative thing of her mental state, because she feels she's like in a sort of like a generic, like not a robe, it's like a dress thing, but it almost looks like a hospital gown or something, like she's coming out of recovery here. And like, oh, the mother's come to visit or something. It's interesting. But this, because right before that is the promise you'll never leave thing or whatever, right? Where he's cleaning her or something, or maybe there's a little bit in between there. I can't remember exactly.
Not sure.
Yeah. So that was your last note, you're saying. So I'll just run through mine, huh? Mine's probably going to be, remember when this really cool, cute thing happened? The secret 4th floor, the secret 5th floor, the secret roof, EliteAri. That was great. There's also a little sequence where she's just running through things, and like she'll say the beginning of the line and then say the end of the line. She like goes up to the camera even before he started filming.
Oh yeah, that was confusing. One of the confusing elements.
Yeah, it's just like a weird, I don't know, cool.
I mean, I like it now. Yeah, just at the time I was like, "What's happening? Is this camera? Is he like recording?" But then later on, he actually started recording, and I'm like, anyway.
Yeah. And then remember this one scene where it's like she has a camera now too, just to fuck with him. That was
Oh
the
yeah,
greatest
true. Yeah.
moment of all time. There's a moment where, there's so many like she's gone and she's not coming back moments. Like there's one very much at the beginning where it's like she's not in the thing and she's just like standing somewhere because it's raining and she's depressed. And then obviously later it happens where she's like disappeared for different parts. And
For the cat.
yes, the cat. There was a cat at some point. She adopted a cat, but
And then she
she's
got
not really good at
distracted by
looking
the cat.
after it. Yeah. It is like this weird hyperfixation thing. Because she's a little weird. Crazy. Anyway, the flaws, they were great. But also like the editing of that thing is another pacing and rhythm thing. I don't know. I don't know how to make that point. Unless it resonates, man. There's also when they like walk on like that roof railing thing and like he starts talking about Fireman or something, which is like some like show he watched when he was a kid, and her going like, "Oh, you need to start speaking now." Which is something girls do in my experience, Leary. You'll just be asking questions and they'll be like,
Yeah,
I've stop asking you questions, you piece of shit. It's like, well, I'm not going to talk about myself, dumbass. So get walking. And like whatever you say, usually, especially if it's early on, like they will be supportive and be like, well, I don't know much about that, but that sure sounds interesting. It's like, oh, thanks, love. But it was like cute. It's like another like her trying to prod, because that's another thing girls will do, Alira. You know, I'm a girl expert over here. They'll like prod you into like doing what they want, kind of, but they won't. In their mind, you have to do it. It's like a weird thing where they'll like lead you the whole way, but as long as you like say the final thing or put the final brick on top, they'll be like, "Oh, he can look after me. Look at him. He just did everything." I remember the kind of girl I've been talking about throughout this was like, she would always like, she would end up planning the whole date or whatever, but she would always like be like, "Why aren't you doing it?" And like, it's like just such a funny thing where she would just do it anyway, but like she would want you to do like the last bit. I remember like she wanted us to go grocery shopping a lot. I don't know, just because it was domestic or something. And that was another thing where she would like try to get you to pick things, but she would just end up picking it anyway. Literally. Anyway, girls, they be weird. They want you to talk about themselves, even yourself or whatever. Literally. But you don't want to, so fuck them. Him making mental assessments of her monologues throughout. True, we talked about that enough. She likes it when she starts hitting him, which we talked about earlier. There's also a part where she's just like wearing less clothes, and it's like, well, that's clearly like a comfortability sign. She's also like drinking a lot, which I thought was like interesting. Like she has, especially towards the beginning, she has some sort of bottle. I don't know anything about alcohol really, but she has some sort of bottle that they're like passing back and forth. And then they're drinking cans, which I assume are beer, while they're playing with the racetrack thing, which is all really cute. Like getting drunk is another like date activity you do all the time, just because it's like weird and like you. I don't want to say liberating. That seems like too extreme of a word. But maybe when you get drunk, Leary, you're a little looser, I guess. And then it's just fun to hang out. The journey to sleep. It's not tomorrow if you don't sleep. That was a great little thing where it's like she seems to never sleep, but she doesn't like to sleep because she doesn't sleep until she like passes out, and it's like terrible for her health. But she can't sleep because if she sleeps, then it'll be tomorrow, which will be her birthday, which she's clearly avoiding. Which is a really cool little thing. And obviously slowly, I don't know. I really like the sleeping, cuddling stuff is like very like emotional for me, I guess. So it was very much like in tune with my emotions of like the build up to them like sleeping together in the literal sense, not in the sex sense, literally. Get your head out of the gutter. Of like, it's very like sweet, and that's like, oh, that was like, oh my goodness, Leary. How touching. Where like she can finally like she's like, oh, I can sleep when like we sleep together. It's just like helpful because she's like, oh, she has like a whole metaphor for why she doesn't like to go to sleep, and like it feels like her head is like getting crushed or something. It's scary and stuff, and it's like, oh, I wouldn't want to sleep either. But there's another thing, which was another thing that girl did a lot of, Leary, was she would like put her like either her hand on your like heartbeat or her head up to it. And it's like a reassuring thing, which is a very weird, specific thing. There's But yeah, that was also
So, like Mikasa did to Eren that one time in episode or
kind of
chapter 6.
that was to like prove that he was alive. That wasn't like a reassuring thing. That was Mikasa's a great practical lady, EliteAri. She's got like these
reassuring
crazy
that he was
Asian
alive.
ladies.
She is Asian.
True, they're all the same, EliteAri. That's what I said earlier, I think. At the beginning, there's like a calendar ripped up, and like there's a big specific bit on 12, and the 12th of December is her actual birthday, as we find out in the last scene, EliteAri.
That
So
was a very cute reveal.
Oh, there was this great shot where there's like a group of children walking past, and they like
I remember
rotate
that.
through like the middle of them.
Yeah.
That was really cool. The Boobs magazine confronting sexuality, which is a very scary thing. It is interesting. And I don't think I've ever seen this in anything, where it's sort of like an adult, like a young adult relationship confronting sexuality. Like it's usually like in Love and Pop, where it's like teenage angsty, like confronting of how scary sexuality can be. But a lot of the time, especially, and this was very much my experience in a lot of the dates I went on, was like they're very explicit. Like when I was first hanging out with my girlfriend, we hung out for ages, without any sexual anything, and it almost becomes like an elephant in the room that you're like too scared to sort of confront. Where it's not like, it's clearly like this is not like a sexual relationship, which is obviously something you're like people on a dating app could be looking for, right? There's clearly something different. So when does that have to come up? It's obviously a little awkward to confront this. And it's like they are hanging out. They are like a married couple basically, but they haven't done this like step that some couples would take like on the very first meeting or something and then build from there. So it was a very interesting like confrontation of like, we're not kids. We understand what sex is. Now she does have a monologue earlier about how she like doesn't like sex, but it's like sort of a cover. But then later when she's like scared he's gonna leave, there's also the great like period where he like leaves to go to the shops, and you're almost by that he might leave, and she's clearly picking, because you've had a few monologues from him about how he's sort of getting bored or something. And then that's when she starts breaking everything. I love that sequence a lot. And then he like comes back, and it's like a I'm going crazy sort of thing. But I think it's before that when she like tries to get on top of him and is like basically trying to leverage sex to keep him interested. And I thought all of that was really interesting as sort of a dynamic. Performance scene. What do you think I meant by that, EliteAri?
That her performance was lovely in one scene. Oh no, when she's performing on the roof.
She was singing on the roof. Yeah, it was great. It was like really, it was the super close up of her face when I thought she really looked like this one other girl I knew. That was really crazy. And I was like trying to figure out if that girl was part Japanese, part white. I really like that sequence. That sequence is great, where it's sort of like an emotional release, obviously. It's something her sister might have done. Again, is her sister? I don't know. Is it just something she used to do? I know, and also she's like a weird art girl. Like, of course, she can like sing a crazy song or something. It felt very fitting. It was epic. I liked it a lot. There's the other great moment where she like pokes her head out, which is another thing I tweeted, where she's like pokes her head out of like the weird little enclosed thing and says like something cute, and then goes back in and smiles. She's smiling a lot, of leader. You're just like enamored. You're in love with this young girl. You just want her to be happy.
Oh, I see. I went to your Twitter. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Sure. I tweet a bunch of things. Those are all my particular scene notes. I have a general note here that says reality and fiction, which I think we covered. The lack of ability to communicate, which I think we covered. The want to create something is the absence of something else. When you're in a relationship, you don't have the urge to make a breakup song. We kind of talked about that. True, because that is something he says in a monologue, which I think is really interesting, of like wanting to, because usually when people frame creation, and obviously Anno has like created like a lot of stuff to this point, and he's still like very unfulfilled with life, it seems. So to read into that way is very interesting, of like the motivation to create, or the motivation to like succeed or whatever, is like the absence of like happiness in a sense. And this kind of tracks, because it's like, oh, after people get broken up with, they all like go to the gym and get like in good shape or something. It's like, well, it's the absence of making up for something that now drives you to do this thing. Whereas a lot of times like creation is very romanticized, of like he seeks to create to change the world with his great story, or something like that. But for it to be like, no, you only really want to create when your relationship isn't working out. And it's like, I don't know. That's a very interesting, like, sort of cynical, like, but weirdly, oddly, like, beautiful way to look at it. That I thought was really cool. This is where I wrote down a funny little internal Kyle Entertainment joke where I said, feels almost like a ContraPoints video. Wait a minute. Because you remember EliteAri, the great video I still not made that was going to be ContraPoints is Evangelion, where I was talking about how, like, once you finish Ava, which I guess I didn't really get from the end of Ritual, but when you finish Ava, you sort of think you understand the universe. It's like crazy. And you're like, oh, like, I just got to be nice to people. And everybody will be happy. And just like Shinji, you'll find a relief. It's like at the very end when he comes out of that crazy sequence. I'm going to remain vague because we're going to make a leader rewatch it soon.
Omedeto.
And you just... What did the leader just say?
Omedeto Shinji-kun. Or they say that, right? I've seen it. I've seen memes of it. No? Were they like clapping or something? I don't know.
Oh, no, that's the end of the series, not at the end of Ava. Though you kind of do get it from the end of the series too. But yeah, you get to the end and it's like, oh, I am fully at peace with myself right now and like the universe. It's like a very odd feeling. And like the best ContraPoints videos also do that, where it's like, oh, let's just be nice. And it's like that's sort of like the resolution, and then it's slow, like that euphoria slowly dissipates. And there were certain monologues that obviously reminded me of stuff where it's like, man. Oh, well, I guess the other strength of ContraPoints videos was like it's like a lot of the stuff I've thought about, but like laid out in a very linear, well thought out fashion. And it's like, oh, that is what I think. Which is what I was sort of talking about earlier with like the monologues about art philosophy, I guess. And it's like, oh, I do agree with all these things. And this is like another thing I think, and when you line them up all here, it's like they all follow from something. Maybe there is something going on in this jumbled up brain. And then it's like, you like understand. But it's cool anyway. But maybe I'll make that video eventually. Last 3 notes, EliteAri. The pacing of beats like Serial Experiments Lane, Birthday, even the tapping. True, there was like tapping, rhythmic tapping in this. And I was like, oh, this is like the greatest editing / directing of all time. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't tapping, but there was like a beat or something in some of the sequences. I don't remember. I can't remember off the top of my head, EliteAri, but I wrote it down, so it must be true. It might be the defining Anno characteristic to me. The quick cutting is that. We already talked about the editing and stuff. We don't need to go back into that.
That was even more extreme in Love and Pop. I don't think we talked about it. There's a lot of rapid cuts in that.
Yeah.
I
think one of the videos I saw was like every line is a different like shot in that movie or something, which is kind of emblematic of that, I guess. Then we have the final scene I have written down here, which is like when she says it's my birthday and she just smiles and she says, birthday des. You know, that's how they speak in Japanese, EliteAri. I can speak Japanese. And I was like, oh, this is the greatest movie of all time, EliteAri.
All right.
And then my last note was post-credit stinger unknown. But we already talked about that a little bit.
That was it saved it right into the last moment. Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
True. And I was scared you were going to miss it because you were shit-talking the song when I was messaging you, EliteAri.
No, I'm telling you, I don't like poems, I don't like philosophy, and I don't like reading the lyrics to songs, okay? Whenever it's anything like weirdly...
Oh, nobody wants you to read the lyrics.
Yeah.
The lyrics aren't But you got to feel the vibe, you know?
Yep.
I should rewatch this movie right now. What a great movie.
Absolutely, why not?
So where do you rank it? You know, is it in the top 3 of all time? You know, should I be edgy and say it's better than the Evangelion movies? You know,
why don't you just keep rewatching all of them back to back and see which one eventually wins?
Well, don't worry, we're doing Ava soon, EliteAri.
Yeah, we have been building up to it. It's if there's someone who's listening to all these discussions, they keep mentioning it. One day Ava's gonna happen. Like everyone's gonna be in it.
It's true.
Bacon teaser in this one.
Saga has to finish it.
Yeah. And I have a question. Okay, this is like a hypothetical about the great Hideaki Anno. If you had 20 minutes and you could interview one of these people and they speak your language or whatever, would you interview and talk to Anno? Okay, wait.
You're a genius for this question because you know exactly what I'm going to say.
Yeah, but I also no, you don't. I could be saying anyone here. These are 3 people. Okay,
the girl, obviously, EliteAri.
No. This is not what I'm saying. Okay. I'm talking about creators here. So I'm saying
Oh.
Anno, Fujimoto, or Neil Druckmann. Which one of those would you interview?
Nobody cares about Fujimoto.
Really? I
George,
think you
George
wouldn't want to
would have
know
been an
anything
interesting.
about his like intentions behind certain decisions and stuff. I think it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, it would be, but I feel like the other two just clearly outrank it. I don't think I would. There's so many interviews with Neil Druckmann already, but obviously there's so many interviews with Anno. But to be able to speak to him with your great AI language,
Yes.
George would really be the more interesting one because you would try and farm answers out of him indirectly. I guess I would be more scared that Neil would be stupid about his own shit, and I'd be like, "No, that's not why The Last was 2 is good, idiot." I don't think I would have that fear with Anno.
Yeah, sure.
I don't really even any of them. It's not something I would really do. I don't think.
Okay.
Like I don't even know what I would ask any of them. Like I guess with George, you'd be like, I don't even know which Preston angle you would even try and tackle. But you would try and farm something about like, does Kyburn actually work for Ober and Martel, bro? And see if his eye twitches or something. I don't know, what would you ask Anno? What are we doing next? Are we doing Ava again? Ask him to do Devilman next or something. I don't know. Start pitching him ideas. You already did Devilman EliteAri. It's called Neon Genesis Evangelion. Get with it, kid. Oh, you know what's really funny? Because now we're getting into the part where we pitch our next series. The Cutie Honey movie and the Devilman movie both came out in 2004, and I was like, oh, they're both Go Nagai live action adaptations. It would be funny if we did these. Because I just kind of really want to watch that dumb Devilman movie that had like, what did it have on Letterboxd? A 1.4 or something?
I don't remember.
Oh, it would be great. It would be so funny, I think. Oh, the clips of that Cutie Honey movie look so fucking cool, EliteAri. It's like clearly like campy and over the top. I'll send you a clip and see if you like it. We probably won't do it, but maybe when you're streaming next. My other pitch, since we've moved on from your great interview question with a non-answer, the pitch I had was we should do because we're gonna do Sherlock. That's what I had to agree. That's how EliteAri, what do you call it? Manipulated him. I manipulated him into doing this by doing that. And Sherlock's like 75 hours, so EliteAri might own me. But I got to keep blackmailing him into doing Naruto, of course.
I think yeah, true. Go ahead.
I think we can EliteAri. We can do 2 movie little connecteds a month. That would be easy, right?
A month.
We should aim for this, perhaps. I think now I did this pitch, so maybe it would make sense for EliteAri to pitch the next one. But I don't want to watch shitty EliteAri's movies. I like the structure of doing 2 movies we haven't seen, and then speculating about if we like them or not, about each other's opinions. Anyway, the David Lynch pitch I'm trying to get to is Mulan Drive and Blue Velvet, I think is the name, which is the two of his more popular movies that aren't connected to Twin Peaks in any way, from what I understand. And because because at some point we pitched Twin Peaks, but like it's so many episodes and people don't really like how it goes. And then there's like a 3rd season that came out like 30 years later. It seems like a lot. And I don't know. I feel like it would give us a better taste because I haven't seen any David Lynch stuff and I'm assuming I would like them and maybe EliteAri would like them. So I think that might be better. And I saw both of them had very positive reviews on Letterboxd. So, that influences me a little bit. I do like the idea of figuring out a way to connect 2 movies to each other. And having that be sort of our thing.
You could ask ChatGPT and be like, what are 2 movie sets that are like all connected? And we could get a list.
No, because the fun part is figuring out how they're connected. We don't want ChatGPT to do it.
True.
I don't know. I guess if anybody is still listening, they could pitch a connected duo.
Do you have Sherlock TV show, the Sherlock movie. Okay.
There's a movie.
No, like the Robert Downey Jr. ones or whatever.
No. This is a separate category. That's not in the movie category. Sherlock is in the Naruto category.
True.
We got movies over here. So I don't know. We can speculate things. Cutie Honey and Devilman. I don't know. It's a genius. 2004 and both Go Nagai manga properties. I I think that would be a wacky one where we're both like, well, these are probably both like 3 stars.
Hmm.
I don't know, maybe. We could also do Shin Godzilla and Shin Kamen Rider, which are Anno's later movies, but we shouldn't do Anno back to back.
We could even, I mean, you could even just do 2 Godzilla movies in general, right? They're very different.
Yeah. I would probably want to do like the original one, which was probably boring and you wouldn't like, but
yeah, we need we need something that's not confusing, okay? I'm done with confusing things for the time being. Oh my god.
Oh my goodness,
Jesus.
these weren't confusing. Get over it, EliteAri. Shitty Sherlock's probably confusing. Who did it? There's another one, which is another one that I've had grouped in my head for a little while, is Ninja Scroll and Vampire Hunter D, which are 2 like old anime movies that are like really violent and edgy that I think could be interesting. I don't know.
All right.
We can brainstorm later, but we should probably end this video. No.
Well,
we could do that. EliteAri will finally finish the movie.
Yeah.
We would pair it with something else. I don't know, another anime classic.
Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, but I don't know. I've already seen Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll think about this. Leave a comment, guys.
Find another one. Yeah. Anyway, EliteAri, is this where we're ending the video? You guys, EliteAri's got a video coming out soon.
I do. Tomorrow.
I could probably make a scripted video about each one of these movies, and I should probably make one about Chungking Express, and I should probably make one about Anora. True, with these ones, the views won't be very high. I haven't made a video about a movie. I don't think. I did make a Portrait of a Lady on Fire movie, Patreon bonus video one time. Other than that, I don't think I've ever made one about a movie, huh? Crazy. Unless it was tied into like a TV series. Anyway, EliteAri, are we ending the video?
I guess that's it, yeah.
Support links in the description below. Thanks.